Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always, Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
We were talking about Suicide Squad, so we that's why we were sitting here for 5 minutes without doing anything. Once you start talking about Suicide Squad, you can't stop talking about Suicide Squad.
Well, there's just so many great moments in the new one, which is
It's like the opposite of Fight Club.
Yeah,
you can't stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it. Exactly.
Rule number one: you can't stop talking about Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's just how vastly different, I think, in appeal and memorability this one is compared to the first one.
Of any DC movie, more memorable.
Well, not
of late.
It was over the top, and I mean, like, it was enjoyable, but at the same time, a couple times during the movie,
I love that it was comic book style violence. It was exactly like reading a comic book, and some of them old characters that they pulled out of the comic books, it's like, holy crap,
But King Shark was awesome. Like, they did a great job with King Shark.
Yeah, definitely some Z level villains.
Oh yeah, and it was
Oh man,
I had to go look up a couple, and I was like, who?
Oh, man, I didn't have to look up any of them. It was like ones that I hadn't seen since I was a kid, and I went, Javelin. Holy
nobody cares about
smokes.
Javelin.
The one thing I wish that they had done is had more of Peter Capaldi, because the little bit that he's there is fun, but he doesn't really do anything because he's not there for very much. So I was like, oh, he looks so cool though.
Yeah, I know. Nikki was like, what's the things out of his head? I'm like, it's a long story, but it's really not a long story.
I mean, they needed to do something where like it just like sparks with electricity or something, like one of those like things you get in a novelty shop. Just do that. Like it doesn't have to actually do anything. Just look dumb.
Yeah, and they could have made it look like one of those tricolor disco balls. It had the little red, all the different lights at the top of it. Anyway, they could have made those brighter. And when he was in the club, it could have just, Susie entered, it just started changing colors and flashing.
Everything's got RGB lighting these days, right? So why not your villains?
Yeah, I know. That's what we were just talking about when you were looking for headset stands. They're all got RGB lighting in it because that's what the kids like. The kids like the RGB.
I mean, mouse pads and everything has it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so
I work with somebody who makes it a point to get everything RGB that he possibly can in his like PC setup. I'm like, dude, you're nuts.
I don't need that much light shining back in my face. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah.
I like it to a degree, but I mean, there's just some things where I'm like, why? Like mouse pads being one of them. Like, I just don't think a mouse pad needs to have RGB.
And then I think about people. I see people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff that do RGB lights behind their TV, and they have it hooked up to their Alexa or their sound system, so when it'll change with different colors and sounds and stuff like that. And I'm thinking,
it's like the mood lighting, whatever that matches kind of the stuff. That's actually kind of cool. But
and that's what I think.
I like it a lot. I have it on mine.
Yeah, and I keep going, that might be cool. And then I go, no, I don't. When I watch it in the dark, I want to be in the dark. I don't want it the whole room to be red.
Your TV is putting out more light than those are going to be putting out anyway.
Yeah, well,
it's a nice.
Especially when I'm sitting like 4 feet from the 65-inch TV, I don't need RGB lights behind it. I mean, it's bright enough. It's
a really nice backdrop, and the mood lighting is just really nice. So that's why I like it. I mean, I have it on mine.
I've considered it several times, but I never go through with it. And like I said, we sit so close to the TV that we really don't need it. Not when I'm down here anyway. When we're up in the
are your glasses blue light reflecting glasses?
Yes, they are.
They are okay.
Yeah,
because these are because I after I'm always in front of some sort of screen, so this was a necessity for me.
Yeah, and I just always got it because. Well, I just always did. I worked in front of computers for a long time, and now I just stare at my iPhone all the time. So it's like I need to have something so I can go to sleep.
Something to help. However subtle, just something.
Yeah, and soon bifocals will be in my future, so that'll be great.
Does your TV have the sort of blue light? Filter? Does it have that?
This one doesn't. The new one that's coming does.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that. Using it, it's fine on my iPhone, but I could tell when it kicks on.
Yeah,
and
I have it on mine, and it's really. I don't know. Again, like you were saying, like on the phone, it's one thing because it's a smaller screen. Your eyes adjust pretty quick. But when you have that much real estate and you're looking at 40, 50, 60 plus inches, that all of a sudden a blue light filter takes over, it affects the picture quality in a way that is very unappealing. And it's almost not worth it. It's just like at this point, like I'd rather get, LASIK eye surgery than, put on the blue light filter. So that's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't put it on like my phone or Windows or anything because I don't like when they do the little blue light filter. The colors just look dumb.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't mind it
everything
on
turns
my
into
phone.
sepia.
But, I don't mind it so much on my phone, but I don't think I would like it on a TV or a monitor or anything.
Yeah, I turned it off real quick. Like when I saw it, I just kind of turned it on out of curiosity just to see what it would look like, and I was like, nope, not on the TV, nope.
Nah, I don't think I'd do that either. But
honestly, now that I think about it, I think it'd be an interesting feature to have on the Switch. Actually,
I'm not surprised that they don't.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if maybe the OLED version might.
Maybe.
I doubt.
I think it would help with probably like burn-in also.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Didn't think about that. So I don't know. We'll see. I might get one. Well, I got one on pre-order. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but I've got it on pre-order. Anyway.
Just have one just in case. You go through with it.
Decide to, so. But anyway, let's talk about what we've been playing. No blue light there, so or blue light filter.
No, unless you play a game called Blue Light. The closest thing to that, I've seen Blue Fire, but I haven't seen anything.
What was that game on the Dreamcast? Blue
Stinger.
Blue Stinger. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's the only one I ever remember.
I got you.
Was that one? And I never played it, so.
I mean,
it's an interesting kind of survival horror action game. Like low budget, think like a Resident Evil is an A grade. It's more like a F grade. I mean,
it never looked very appealing to me. So
it's definitely campy, and the voice acting is.
Yeah, but that's right. Blue Stinger. I just remember the cover. It was very generic looking. So
Devolver Digital made me sad the other day because they had tweeted. I mean, they're always messing around, but they had tweeted the other day that. I think it was something along the lines of, I think we should just let down the hopes that Dreamcast 2 probably isn't happening. And I was like,
oh no.
I let those go about 20 years ago. So
yeah.
You promised me.
Yeah,
I would. Well, one can dream. Those dreams are alive to me.
Yeah, they're always
holding out.
Oh, and the one thing I don't think we've talked about since the last time we recorded, I think haven't we all been together since the last time we recorded? Nathaniel and Dennis, anyway. I know Eric couldn't fly over from, he was too good to fly across the country to hang out for 3 hours with us. I mean,
Northwest, but
it was fine. You could have flown over for 3 hours, got back on the plane, flew right back. It was no big deal, though.
Yeah. Get on the plane. What are you going for? Just have dinner with some friends.
Yeah, we'll be back. I'll be
back
back
on. You'll see me soon enough.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way. Because of the difference, you could have dinner here, right? Fly back, have dinner again.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Have second dinner. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's
like The Hobbit. I'm in.
Yeah, really. But yeah, that was a good time. I'm surprised they didn't kick us out of Moe's for just sitting there for like 3 hours talking in a booth.
Yeah, we were literally the last people to leave.
Yeah.
Like we were there for a while. Yeah.
I was figuring somebody was going to come up and go, look, you're going to have to order more food or leave.
I'll have a cup of coffee.
They probably don't want like the bad press. Like they probably don't mind like so long as like we're not causing trouble. They're like, yeah. It'll add more to the atmosphere.
Anyway.
Yeah. And then like it'll give good word of mouth. Just be like, hey, look, if you want to go somewhere for a couple hours, go to Moe's. They won't kick you out.
Yeah, apparently not.
You get business that way. So.
Yeah, I mean, apparently not because they didn't kick us out. So.
They don't care. They have plenty of tables and empty space. So it's fine.
They had plenty of empty space. Nobody's eating out anymore anyway. Everybody, according to the thing behind us that had all the take-home or take-out food there,
including that burrito that died. Rest in peace to that burrito. That was crazy.
Yeah,
seeing that up there. That was. I forget what they call it, like Bobby Burrito or something.
What was it?
Something like that. I don't know.
I can't remember what it was. It was on the.
Everybody's listening to this podcast now. I'm like, why are they talking about dead burritos? What's going on?
Burritos. What are they talking about? Thumbs down. I'm out.
All right, I've got a pitch for a new game where you're shooting burritos.
Yeah.
Anyone? Nope. All right.
Nope.
It's a lot like I Am Bread, except
except
with
it's
burritos.
Yeah.
I mean, just get the company that made all those Burger King games and get them to do it for Taco Bell instead. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
absolutely. I'm surprised somebody hasn't, to be honest with you. I mean, the Burger King ones went over so well. Yet
honestly, the Burger King cart one was like semi-decent. Like that one
Sneak
was.
King wasn't too bad either. I mean, that was the one where you were like,
I mean, that one gets the win just for the pun.
Yeah. I mean, I own them. We went to Burger King that night and bought all 3 of them just for the heck of it. It was like, why not? It's $5 a game, sure. But
what a weird. I think that's got to be one of the weirdest places a game has ever been sold, is in a fast food restaurant. Like out of all the places games have been distributed, a fast food restaurant has to be one of the weirdest places.
Yeah, I would think that was
probably
very but never happen again. All right, so what we've been playing. Well, since the last time we talked, I haven't played much. Me and Dennis played some Sea of Thieves one night a couple weeks ago. We did the first Tall Tale, and that was the weirdest thing. It ended up taking us 2 days to do it. We did it with an open group the first night, so it was 2 other guys, and I don't know why it took us so long. We got to the idol we needed to get, and then we were on the way back, and then all of a sudden Dennis goes, it aired out and disappeared. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
It's gone. What? And literally, so when we played for like 4 hours that night, it was like, all right, we're done. We'll try it again. So I told Dennis, I said, do you want to try it again tonight? And just me and you. And it literally took us, what, half an hour? It's like,
if that,
I don't know why it took us 4 hours with 2 other guys. It doesn't make sense.
And the weirdest part about that also is like one of the guys sounded like an expert. I mean, this dude was like, we're going to go here, there.
And it was so weird.
And he was right about all of it, but I still don't understand why it took us as long as it did, only for it to not be completed because something happened.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but gosh, that was so much fun. It's like now there's what, 6 other ones, and then 6
something like
for there's 6 of those, and then 6 for the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So there's like a total of 12 of them to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still having a blast with that game. It's just fun. It's stupid fun. I went back by myself afterwards and started it back up just to find all the books to try to complete.
Oh yeah.
The actual the full, what do they call it, they have like 9 things to unlock. I forget what they call it, but the only thing now left to do is I've got to play it 3 more times to get the cannons.
That particular mission?
Yeah, you got to run that whole story 3 more times, and I'm like, do I want those cannons that bad? There's another achievement for it, but now if Eric plays, if you guys play with us, we'll run it again, so you can get that. Because you have to run that one to unlock the next one, to unlock the next one, to unlock the next one. So you have to do them. But
I'll probably pick up Sea of Thieves to play at some point.
Yeah. Well, since you got your Series X, if you're going to get Game Pass, it's right there on Game Pass.
I've ordered it, and it's not going to ship for a while.
Yeah, but you got
such his life.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got one coming at some point. So
unless the Walmart warehouse explodes right when it comes in to be shipped to me, I'm probably going to get it.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah, right. They've been doing like crazy restocks for both PS5 and the Series X the last couple weeks.
Just by what I've seen on Twitter, it's really crazy.
Based on mine, I think what they're doing is they're just like taking some guesses at how many they're going to get, and then they just set the ship date back, because mine doesn't ship till like the first week of September.
That's what they did with my PlayStation.
And I ordered it the first week of August.
Yeah, that's what they did with my PlayStation 5. A lot of people that got theirs the same, or on order the same day I got mine, got theirs really quick, but as more and more people said they weren't getting them, I think what they did was they knew they were getting this allotment, they sold over, and then they knew they were getting another allotment. So mine was like a month out of where I ordered it, but hopefully you won't have to wait that long. But doesn't matter.
Because I remember when I got my PlayStation on launch day, I ordered it when they did this stuff there. It was also through Walmart.
Yeah.
and I got it earlier than it said originally, but it wasn't also like 5 weeks out or whatever
Right.
this one was either. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, we get all of us on Sea of Thieves. It's a blast. I mean, it's an absolute blast.
I think it'd be great, yeah, to have like a full crew of like
Yeah.
us would be like super awesome.
If we're all going to play, I think I might have to buy the Black Pearl. may have to spend that $20 on the Black Pearl.
Have you gotten the season pass yet, or whatever they call it, like their version of a battle pass, the pirate pass or whatever? No, okay.
I haven't. No,
because I figured with how much you've been playing lately, I mean, you'd be able to you'd be reaping rewards like left and right.
Yeah,
Pretty much, I feel.
the only thing I bought was the Pirates of the Caribbean dog with keys in his mouth. That's the only thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That was cute.
I wanted a pet.
That was cute.
So. And that thing will run around with me wherever I go. I'll jump in the water. He'll jump right behind me, and we'll go. It's hilarious. I mean, but boy, when the storm is raging and the boat is a rocking and the cannonballs are flying, he is whining like nobody's business. It's like, dude, you gotta get put up because I can't stand to hear you crying like that this whole time. I got too much other crap going on, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It scratches that MMO itch for me, but there's no leveling to it, which is nice, which means I can do anything in the game anytime I want without any restrictions of level or anything like that. And the more
and that's the nice thing is like you never have to worry about like like when you're walking, like when you're going to an island and you're like, am I too under leveled for this? Do I not have the right equipment? Because you're always set up with the same stuff.
Yeah,
always,
you don't have a I could go buy a new gun or a new sword, but it's no better than the starting sword or the starting gun.
Exactly.
It just looks prettier. It has nothing to do with anything. And I don't know, I like that kind of game where I don't have to have the pressure of, oh man, I've got to get to level 75 before I can go over here and do this. So
well, I think it just like increases the quality of life for the game as well, just because it becomes accessible to anyone for starters. But then on top of that, like you can just focus on enjoying the game versus like resource management or doing this and that and making sure like, oh, did I forget this back at the island? No, it doesn't matter. Just start sailing the seas and have fun. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I don't know, Dennis, if you watched that video that I sent you from one of the guys on YouTube. It's like,
no, not yet.
We are playing this game way wrong because they I think they got 2 million doubloons in one evening. Just, I mean, it was insane. I was just watching it going, what in the world is going on here? This is crazy. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and that's why it's pretty much all I want to play. I was sitting in a hotel room, getting ready to go to bed, going, man, if we play this, and me and Dennis can figure this out, we could do this, and then we can go over here and find that. It's pretty sad that I keep planning in my head while I'm not playing it. So. But I've even tried to play it with some remote play. It works pretty good. My only problem is at night it's kind of hard to see on my small, tiny telephone phone screen. It's kind of hard to see. But now that they've added it to the game streaming to the Xbox app on PC, I need to download it on that and try to play it on my laptop and see how it goes.
But that's through browser, right? That's still through browser.
No, it's through the app. It's through the.
They just added it like a week or two ago.
Yeah,
very recently.
How come all of a sudden they were cool with it? Why?
What's Windows?
There's a new app. There's 2 Xbox apps in Windows.
Yeah.
There's one that's like Game Pass app, and then there's one that's like the Xbox.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was thinking of like because you had brought up Apple. I was thinking like
no,
not Windows PCs.
I was talking about the laptop, the app for Windows.
They
haven't had the game streaming in it, so now they added it like the other day. So it's like,
which is nice because now I can finally play or try Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah. That one is good.
Install 150 gigs.
I played a little bit of it, but I didn't put it in my games played because I only played like 15 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it. What I played of it was really nice, but I just haven't played a whole lot of it because I haven't had time.
Yeah.
I did get into the Halo Infinite beta for the multiplayer. It was all against bots. It was four real people against bots. There was no team chat or anything like that, so it was literally just running around shooting bots. And the first day, it seemed kind of, I don't want to say it seemed kind of easy, but we were winning all our matches by like half. I mean, at one point it would be like 15 kills to none, and you only have to get, I think, 30 to win or something like that. So it was like, all right, these bots are way easy. So the last day of the beta, I had like 15 minutes to kill, and I jumped on just to see. And apparently they cranked up those bots because I got my butt handed to me every time. If I got one kill, I was lucky. Them bots were whooping us all over the place. So I think the last day of the beta, they just went, you know what, let's just beep, bop, bop.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it's the most Bungie feeling Halo that I've played since Reach, if that makes any sense. It felt good. It looked good. It has that classic Halo 3, Halo Reach look to it.
God, how long ago now was Reach? That feels like forever ago now at this point.
Know, right?
Reach is the last Halo game I played.
Yeah. Well, I think that one was the last Bungie one, wasn't it?
Did Reach come after ODST or before ODST? Because I always get them confused.
After.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited to see what the single player campaign looks like, because to me it just felt tight, 60 frames. I wasn't playing on I don't have 120 hertz on the TV yet, so of course I wasn't playing at 120, but it was a smooth 60 frames all the time. There wasn't any lag, there wasn't any slowdown, there wasn't any jitters, there wasn't any nothing. I guess the first couple of hours when they brought the servers up there was, but I didn't hop on until like later that evening, so by the time I hopped on, all that stuff had worked itself out and it was good. But yeah, I hope it comes out sooner than later. I hope holiday means like November or October.
We'll see. Because I mean, obviously, I feel like mid-November would be pretty solid, because then that gives them a month and a half leading up to Christmas to really like just sell a bunch of copies. So, yeah. But hopefully,
it's like what Forza Horizon would be the last big kind of game before that in October, right?
Yeah.
So November probably would make sense for Halo Infinite if they can put it out. And that's
Forza September or October.
I thought it was October. I could be misremembering.
Maybe it is. I can't remember. Let me see.
It might be early October, but I'm pretty sure it's October.
Is that 5? Yeah, it is. It's November. Actually, it's November. Wait a minute. That's initial release date. That's Forza Motorsports. Why did it bring up that? Google.
Interestingly, for Forza, they still don't have a car on the box art. It's still just just like a landscape of Mexico.
November 9th is when it comes out.
Okay, November 9th. Okay, wow. So because they're going to want some breathing room between Forza and Halo, because those are two of their biggest like flagship titles.
Well, do they want a breathing room, or do they want more people to sub and as quickly?
They want some breathing room, even if it's a couple weeks. They'll need to be at least that much for breathing room.
Yeah, which that makes me think that Halo will probably be out either the week before Thanksgiving or the week after, probably, if I had to guess.
I would say like the first week of December isn't out, because there's been, over the past 5-6 years, several like bigger games keep being put kind of early December sometimes. So
and probably
it doesn't feel weird anymore like it would have in the past, but nowadays it'd be like, you can put it out then, and it makes sense.
Like I think last year is a good example where it's just, I mean, you can get away with it. Like last year, I think is a good example, because if I remember correctly, I think using Ubisoft as an example, like October was Watch Dogs Legions, November was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then December was Immortals Phoenix Rising. So it's just back to back to back, just bangers basically. So,
and the other thing,
you go have several gigantic games that we want you to play forever, all in a row. Go.
Well,
we are Ubisoft.
The other thing is they may, with not giving a release date on Halo yet, they may be waiting to see what the release date is. Because do we have a release date for Call of Duty yet?
I mean, assume that it's November, like most times.
But is that the same audience, though?
I don't know. I mean,
some of it, there is some crossover, just for the drop in and play, but not like mean like completely the same audience. Not like say Battlefield and Call of
Right.
Duty. Those two are way more close together than
Yeah, for
Halo and Call of Duty.
Yeah.
sure.
And the other one that I've been playing is Last Stop, that's on Game Pass.
Really wanted to play that.
It's very good. It's very Telltale like. There's not a lot of action, or it's more dialogue, and you choose what to say and how to react to it, and there's a lot of you're walking to here and having conversations while you're walking, and it's very story and narrative driven. And it's told by, you play 3 different stories, and you play the first chapter of one, then the first chapter of the other, and then the first chapter of the other. Then you play the chapter 2 of that one, and you can play them in any order that you want, but you only play them a chapter at a time. And they're 3 different stories in the same world, so I'm going to guess they must meet up at some point or cross paths at some point, because you got, like, the first story is about a guy who swaps bodies with his neighbor that he doesn't know very well. The second story is about a woman who's like in a CIA organization, and then the third one's about like these 3 young kids that go to a school that kidnap this weird guy that has some kind of special powers that you haven't figured out yet. I think I'm on chapter 3 or 4 of each story. It's really good though. It's very cell shaded. Really, it's just a really nice chill game, because you don't have to do nothing but just kind of enjoy the story and like, where is this going? Why is this doing that? Oh, that's weird. How's this going to work out? And I've been playing it over in the hotel rooms on xCloud, because it's not a taxing game that you have to worry about. Oh, I got to hit this button quick. Oh no, the lag's bad.
Right.
It's not like Sea of Thieves where I may be looking this way and I start to turn and then it goes, and all of a sudden my character just goes woo woo woo, and then it points in the right direction. And I can't say too much about it because it'll give away a lot of the story, because like I said, it's so story driven. But if you like Telltale games, it's right up your alley. I don't know who makes it. I haven't looked at it. I don't know if maybe they're ex-Telltale people.
I was going to ask actually. I don't know in terms of development teams, but I think Annapurna like published it though, if not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
Which is one of the reasons why I was excited for it, because I love that company. They're such a great publisher.
Yeah, they did. Veritable State is the developer. I have no idea who they are, or
I mean, they could very well be like ex-Telltale developers, just because with the whole.
It doesn't look like they are.
No, that's what I was just looking at.
I'm looking it up. I don't think it is. It's just.
Oh, they made that Virginia game. Okay.
Oh, okay, I like Virginia a lot.
Yeah,
I played
like that game.
Okay. Yeah. I bought it on sale a long time ago for like $1.50, $2, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty short game. It's like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours at tops. But if you like stuff like Firewatch and games like that, Virginia's like up that alley. Like it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a very cool game. If you like, it feels so Telltale to me, because you got like 4 choices every conversation. Every time it's your turn to talk, they give you 4. You could be snotty, you could be smart.
Does every character remember that?
Yeah, well, it never says that, but but there's different paths that you take, and each path, it gives you a different. The guys will react to you later a different way by however you treated them before. But it was like, just kind of first glance, I went, well, this looks like it might be kind of interesting and kind of stylized. Let me try it out, and I really liked it. I intend on finishing it at some point.
I really want to play it. I have it downloaded.
It doesn't seem like it's too long, because I've only, like I said, I've played it a couple hours, and I've got to be at least halfway through the game. So
I think the game's what, like $15 too? No more than 20. I don't think.
You know what? Maybe it is. I don't know. Didn't even look at the price. It just, when it popped up on Game Pass, I went, I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah, no, I downloaded it right away. Yeah.
So I didn't even look and see how much it was or anything like that. And there's so many other games I need to play. I got Monster Hunter
Stories too.
Stories 2 in. Literally booted it up, made my character, and then I haven't played it anymore since then.
Game's amazing.
I got a 500. They had 512 gigabyte SD cards for like $67 the other day on Amazon, so I bought one. Yeah, it's the cheapest I've seen one in a long time. So it's like,
absolutely.
All right, let me buy. And it's faster than my 400 gigabyte one was. So when I got home last night, that's the first thing I did, and it does load a little faster on the Switch because it is a little faster than the one that I had. So, and I've had the 400 gig one since launch, maybe a year after. I don't remember, but I think I got it at launch.
Yeah, I have a 256 on my regular Switch, and then on my Lite, I think I have a 128, something like that. But those 512s were expensive for a long time. So that 6070 is like a big steal.
Yeah, it was like 67, and it was just weird. It was just randomly marked down on Amazon, and I had like a $30 gift card from.
What brand was it? Do you know?
Oh, it's SanDisk. I mean, it's a name brand.
Oh, SanDisk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it was name brand. It's like, okay, sure, why not?
Probably just had way too much sitting around, and they're just like, we got to move some of these, man.
I guess. I mean, it's like,
oh crap, we found a pallet of these in the warehouse we didn't realize we had.
Like, somebody hid these in the back.
Start showing up at Ollie's. We've got so many. Sell them to Ollie's. It seems to be where everything goes. So, Eric, why don't you go next? Because you got. I know you and Dennis look like you've played some Back 4 Blood, so I'm anxious to hear about it. The only thing I did was I booted it up and I walked over to the shooting gallery and went, "All right, plays pretty good. Well, I got to go do some stuff."
Yep.
So.
Same.
Move.
Yeah, that's.
Sure.
I haven't had time to play anything, so
I'll talk about it in a little bit.
I'll be back later. I'll be back from Blood. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll be back. I've only actually played a little bit of Left 4 Dead 2, so I didn't really have too much to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
The crossplay is pretty good. The bots are okay, so it's 4-player.
right.
If you can have 2 humans and 2 bots, you'll be fine. 1 human, 3 bots. I mean, they follow your lead, but they're pretty. I'm like, hey, I'm dying over here. Come heal me, and it's shooting zombies in the corner. I'm dumb.
Well, that's the way Left 4 Dead was. So
yeah, so they're not terrible. It's night or the night before I finally beat the end mission. It's pretty lengthy. You definitely got to work as a team. Some of the cool things, they have lots of different classes. Pick different characters. All of them have a different bonus. Like one gal heals you faster. One person has more inventory space. One person does 10% more damage, and all these abilities go to the team. They have like a card system, which I guess they like boost your stats, like 10% more ammo, 10% more damage, more gold, more copper to spend to buy things. So it's kind of interesting. There's some cool stuff. Before each match, you can go to the chest and buy ammo, buy items, buy different weapons, buy mods for your current weapons. You carry one large firearm like a shotgun, assault rifle, LMG, or SMG, and then your secondary weapon could be a pistol or like a machete or an axe. It's pretty good. I mean, different kinds of zombies come and attack you. It plays well. Voice acting is good. Graphically, it looks good. It actually played really well over wireless on my Series S downstairs without any issues. So I was pretty impressed. Like, I thought I was gonna have a bunch of lag and stuff. No, it ran fine.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say. It's fun. I don't know how much of a robust single player experience it could be, but since it's coming to Game Pass, I'm definitely going to play some of it.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be more of a, definitely a co-op game more so than a.
But the crossplay was really good. I was pretty impressed. So I got to give a nod to that at least. There was no weird problem. And the only other game I've been playing is Wasteland 2, as usual. Last time we talked about, I'm almost done. I'm like an hour or 2 hours from the end. That will be not one. That will be a game I won't replay. I'm done. It's like been like 30, 40 hours. I guess I could replay it again and be evil and like have like focus on like a melee class or something.
Yeah.
I did everything. I did all the missions. I got like all the special weapons and I got a couple of Easter eggs and stuff. So I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Still fun to play it though. It's been a nice distraction, and I can get back to the other backlog and tons of other games I haven't touched.
Yeah. Cool. So, Dennis, what did you think of Back for Blood?
Yeah,
How much have you played it?
So I played through the entire Act 1, and then I played a little bit of PvE. And yeah, and then the PvE was interesting. I'll get to that in a second, but
PvP?
Sorry, PvP. Sorry. Yeah, the PvP. Yeah, PvE is just regular campaign. But
so I was
yeah.
like, wait a minute.
yeah. Yeah, I'll get to the PvP here in a second, but the campaign was it was cool. I enjoyed it a lot. The problem is like, I mean, granted, Left 4 Dead, I think the thing that made Left 4 Dead so great is it felt so fluid and so solid, and was just an incredible amount of fun to play, whether you're by yourself or with other people. Obviously, it's more fun with other people, but then especially if you're on PC, just the endless amount of mods you have access to constantly keep that game fresh time and time and time again, outside of just the base game. It makes up for a story that is, if anything, subtle. It's there to give you, I guess, a goal, but it's not there. You're not going to get emotionally attached. You're not going to get, you're not going to be thinking about what happens next. You're not going to be on the edge of your seat, narratively, anyways. Yeah, and Back 4 Blood very much feels the same way in that regard, where it's like, honestly, I couldn't tell you what in the world was happening from each level within the act, basically. However, it was amazing and a ton of fun. Huh?
Did you try all the different characters?
I tried 2. I tried I'm trying to remember his name, like Ernesto or something like that, and then I tried Haley. That's probably not either of their names.
I think you're going the right direction.
Yeah, I feel like that's the general
direction. Chick and that other dude that wasn't that one guy. It was somebody else.
It was the one dude. He was a male, about 6'2".
I brought some stuff. The other guy too. I did not like the healer class. The lady started with the sawed-off shotgun.
Sure.
It just didn't work out for me.
The unfortunate thing with Back 4 Blood, even though I haven't played it, is it looks like the studios learned nothing from Evolve, because they were like having all these weird different editions that are coming out. They're doing all these different monetary things later for stuff to just try and keep monetizing things and doing different stuff that will split player bases, and it's just that's not going to keep your game going long. You already had all that problems with Evolve.
And Evolve was actually pretty good. That's the thing, and it just,
I never played Evolve.
It just fell apart because of all that crap.
Well, yeah, it looked good when it came out, and then they just kept doing stuff that kept just shooting them in the foot, and everybody, the community, just said nope, bye. Game died a horribly quick death.
And because of that game dropped in value so fast.
It was
crazy.
Even after they put it free to play, that didn't save it, which saves a lot of other games. So yeah, they still haven't apparently learned some of that. No, you need to make it simple to get in, and you need to make it easy for people to want to stick around and not be like, well, what's this? Well, if I get this, am I gonna be behind? Or hey, what about this new character that I have to pay for? Do I need to get it and all that? And it's just no, don't do that.
Yeah, but combat-wise, it feels incredible. If you've played Left 4 Dead, you already know how to pick this one up. It feels almost identical in terms of mechanics and stuff like that. The biggest difference is definitely the cards. You have these cards that all serve as almost passive abilities and perks and stuff that you would see in hero class-based games and stuff like that. But honestly, I liked it. At first, I was confused. I was like, what do any of these cards do? Do I equip them somewhere? But honestly, they give you cards to choose from. You select which one you like most, and then it's automatically applied, and you don't have to do anything. You just play the game like you normally would in Left 4 Dead or something like that. But yeah, I mean, these cards can give you anywhere from 10% bonus health to, faster reloads to maybe an extra revive and things like that. And then I'm assuming over time you can probably buy extra cards and whatnot, because in the hub area,
custom that deck. There's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So in the hub area, you can even buy more cards and stuff like that too. And I'm sure through monetization, they can probably add card packs and things like that you can buy, which is going to be terrible. But we'll see what happens. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. So
right.
So, but But overall, I mean, the Act 1 campaign probably took me about the better part of like maybe two-ish hours. I died a few times. The game got extremely intense. Like maybe like the first like submissions within Act 1 were like the first 2 or 3 were like pretty easy. But then after that, they got crazy and it got that like you started kind of getting that sort of feeling
Yeah,
of like a mix of
yeah.
like Left 4 Dead and like World War Z almost, of like
Pounding you
just
with
a
enemies.
crazy horde, especially now with the technology that we have now. They can put more enemies on screen versus like
Here,
Left 4 Dead, you know.
here's a question: how many times did it take you on the end level where you escape with the Humvee? How long did it take you to beat that? It took me like 3 or 4 tries of different people.
I'm trying to remember honestly. That
Because let me tell you, people are dumb.
yeah,
No.
Like,
I played
Surely
with a
not.
few
You
dumb people.
jest, right?
It's laid
Yeah.
out. It's laid
Come
out in front of you what
on.
you're supposed to do, and then there's a
Yeah.
guy in the corner. I'm like,
Yeah, there was a lot of people that like were driving me crazy. There was one part where like actually it was closer to the beginning. Actually, it's where you first go on the boat and you have
oh
to plant
yeah,
those explosives and stuff like that. And like I had to go and grab the bombs and place them myself because like everyone was just chilling on the boat shooting
there's a
everything that came
guy in
through.
the
And I was like,
corner. You're just like, oh.
we gotta go. Like we gotta. So I'm over here feeling like Death Stranding all over again, just making deliveries. You know, just it's
I'm doing all
ridiculous.
the work.
It drove
I
me
rely on
crazy.
anybody.
And I'm over here typing. I'm like, God, but no one's saying anything, you know. Though to be fair, there was one time. This happened on multiple occasions of just that lack of communication, or understanding from other teammates. However, there was one time I didn't realize that like when people leave, it seamlessly like either replaces it with a bot or just eventually someone else can queue in.
Someone
But
else
like I
off.
didn't realize like when I was like just like mid frustration that I was like yelling at bots basically. It's just like, can we go and
You
round
stupid
this up,
bot,
please? But
heal
they were all
me.
bots. They were all bots, and I was like, okay, I realize I'm talking to nobody. All right, good.
All right,
Good.
yeah, okay.
But graphically speaking, the game is absolutely gorgeous, and I was surprised at the scale, or maybe since it's a mix of like veterans from Evolve as well. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised at the scale, but like compared to Left 4 Dead, which I've been playing a lot of that recently with my girlfriend, and I was surprised the scale. Like I think it was the first mission when all of a sudden you just see this. I mean, this Goliath just come out of the ground, and you're like shooting basically up, towards the heavens because this thing is just that big, this monster that just comes out of the ground. And I was surprised to see something on that scale because Left 4 Dead, even some of the bigger, like zombies and stuff, like like the tanks and the boomers and stuff like that, they tend to be uh all relatively the same size. Like they're still like within eye level more or less as you. But some of the designs of these monsters, I mean, they were tall. They were either tall, wide, big, just, they were huge, some of them, and they were terrifying. Um, but overall, I mean, it was a great time. I'm super stoked for the full release in October. But yeah, the campaign was solid. It pretty much, if you play Left 4 Dead, you know what you're walking into, and it was awesome. Died a few times, but nothing ever felt like it was impossible though. But I can definitely see where there can be somewhat of a misbalance. However, if you are going in alone, just because the AI can't always be relied on, So, but from if I've learned anything from the beta, apparently people can't really be relied on either. So hey, it could go either way. So
Well, it'll be on Game Pass. We'll all have it by then, so we'll all just try to play together.
Yeah. 4 of us. We'll get a lot further than that bot in the corner who's not healing me.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah, but the PvP was interesting. I wasn't as into it
I didn't get a chance to try that.
as the campaign. It's a neat idea though. You can choose whether you want to be, the survivors, or it's almost like a Dead by Daylight type thing where you can choose whether you want to be like the survivors or the sort of the zombies or whatever, or the infected. Or what do they call that? Like the ridden or something like that? Is that
they got a funky name.
Yeah, something like that.
You always have to have a dumb made up name, like just call them zombies. Come on.
Yeah, it's call them what they are, yeah. Because a lot of people aren't going to remember that stuff, and then even if they do remember, they're still going to be calling them like zombies, monsters, things like that. So, but it was fine. It took a couple of rounds for me to kind of get used to what was happening, because they don't really give you much of a tutorial or an understanding of how the rounds work and how the scoring works and stuff like that. But I do feel like it's a little unbalanced. Like the infected, like they tend to just clean house compared to the survivors, because they can just keep respawning over and over again, because you're meant to simulate this horde basically, except, and there's a lot of computer zombies, but all the bigger ones, like the more identifiable ones, those are people. So like the spitters, and and then there's like one that looks like a liquor, and then like from Resident Evil, and then there's another one that looks like a bloater and stuff like that, and like those are all people, and but those, I mean, they rush you, like crazy if you're a survivor, and it's hard to tell which way they're coming from, and they can spawn literally anywhere. Because before you spawn, you get to literally just choose where you are on the map, and then you can pretty much spawn there so long as no one can visibly see you, because you're supposed to come out as a surprise. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was okay. I think that's really the only thing that needs to be fleshed out more. Otherwise, the campaign feels amazing. And if it gets anywhere near the support of Left 4 Dead, I'm excited, if anything, to see what all the mods bring. Yeah, so
I don't think
and
there are going to be mods for it. I don't think they're going to let
Is there
people
not?
mod it, from what I was
That'd be
reading somewhere.
that'd be very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That is.
Hmm.
Is it because of console stuff? That's why, in crossplay, or
I think it's more for them monetizing things and putting out new characters or all that type of stuff, plans for that, versus, well, if people can just put it in there for free, why
Yeah.
they're never going to buy our stuff. I would guess that was probably the actual reason, whatever they may say. I don't know.
so stupid.
I could be wrong, but because it's been a while since I read that, so I could be misremembering, but yeah.
That'd be very unfortunate.
That's
It's
the
just
reason why Left 4 Dead is still like very high on the Steam
Yeah.
most played
Yeah.
games list all the time.
Yeah, I mean, player base is still as lively as ever, and and I wouldn't be shocked if people start playing Back for Blood, and they play that. I'm sure people will undoubtedly enjoy the campaign, but if there's that lack of community respect and community sort of input, because there's this roadblock in the way, whether that's a monetary roadblock or just a straight up like, we don't want you messing with our game, it's gonna cause a lot of, no pun intended, it's going to cause bad blood, between the community and the devs. So then people are just going to go right back to Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. I don't know. I hadn't heard, so I hadn't heard anything much about mods or anything, so I wasn't real sure if they were doing that or not. So what else have you been playing?
Yeah, so in addition to that, on a lighter note, I've been playing a bit of Button City. That game is super super cute, and now that it's out, I can like officially like talk about it and stuff like that. So the game came out, I think, just a few days ago, August 9th or August 10th,
something like that.
Yeah. And if you want the full review, you can see it over at thegamerslounge.com. But Button City is awesome. Like, it is probably one of my favorite indie games come out in a while. It's this low poly aesthetic type game where you just kind of go around and you play as this character named Fennel, who's like a fox basically, and he's super cute. And you just go around this place called Button City, which also is the name of the arcade. And if if you have any familiarity with arcades, having grown up in that era, or just still even to this day enjoy going to an arcade, it feels very oddly authentic. And I did do an interview with the developers as well, and I'm still transcribing that, uh, but basically they talked about how, like, they wanted to give this sense of nostalgia for a place you've never even been, and they did a very good job with that, because Button City is super relaxing, super chill. And even though the main game is called GobaBots, and that's what everyone's kind of like competing for within Button City, which is basically like this gotcha sort of game where you just you get the little robot, and then you just collect fruit, and then you throw fruit into this blender, and then the amount of fruit you throw into the blender, almost like basketball, that's how many points you get. And then and then by the end of like 2 or 3 minutes of the game, like that's whoever has the most points wins, obviously. And but the game is like just super super relaxing and super chill and super cute, and it's probably, like I said, one of my favorite indie games to come out in the last couple of years, and quite some time. It's just super refreshing, and it doesn't ask much of you either. So whether you're playing 10 minutes or a couple hours, um, you're gonna have a great time. And it's awesome how they kind of handle like the level design also, because when you're going from place to place, it's not like a seamless open world thing, or it's not like a walk into a building and then all of a sudden you're in this new area. Basically, you zoom out. So I'm playing on PC, so you like scroll. Basically, if you hit the scroll wheel, then it zooms out, and then you're given like they're stacked almost like Jenga, kind of. And but they're these diorama, like sort of like landscapes, and just of various places, and they're never that big. I mean, there may be like little little areas. I mean, you can walk around each area the whole way probably within 30 seconds. They're not big, and and yeah, it's just a great time. All the characters are super enjoyable, super likable. They're super cute, and they're all named after herbs and spices, which is probably my favorite part. So it just kind of increases the charm and the cuteness of it. But having spoken with the devs, they definitely put a lot of sort of passion and care into this. Because the other arcades, if you don't want to just play the typical Gobobot stuff, which is what you're going to mainly be doing story-wise, but they do have other stuff. You can play, their version of like, a DDR type arcade game. You can also do like an outrun type game. There's another one that's like I'm trying to remember, another one that's like we just play like regular gotcha, like cranes and stuff like that. You do that, and then you get coins and tickets, and use that to spend on a variety of things, including cosmetics. You can put on goofy, cute hats and new sweaters and things like that. And yeah, none of the quests are particularly difficult. Everything's pretty straightforward. It's hard to get lost. Again, the places are super tiny, and everyone's just so funny in that game. And the writing is great, and it just has so much charm. And I can't recommend that game enough, honestly. It's available pretty much everywhere. I'm not sure if it's available on PlayStation, but I know it's available on PC, Xbox, and Switch.
I don't remember if it is or not. I'll look.
But I'm not sure about PlayStation.
Yeah. Switch for sure.
Oddly enough, also next gen only at the moment. So like even though it's on Xbox, it's only playable on Series X and S, so not on Xbox One, which is odd because it's like a game like that, it will run perfectly fine on an Xbox One. So I'm not sure what the decision was behind that, even though they are coming later this year. But at the moment they're next gen only. So I don't know. But yeah, I've been playing that, and that's been a great time. In addition to that, in terms of great art style, I started this yesterday, I believe. It's called Death's Door, and that game,
about that one.
I can't say enough good things about that game. That game is incredible.
Until you get to where I got.
Yeah.
How many hours have we put into it?
Oh gosh, I'd have to look it up. Hang on, let me boot up Steam real quick.
Okay, but the game is absolutely fantastic. I love the way it works. It can be punishing at times, but reasonably so. I feel it never feels like, at least to me, it never feels like it's being it's not trying to spite the player. Just
12 hours.
12 hours. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anywhere near that much. I only played maybe like 2 to 3, and but it's yeah, it's amazing.
It's really good. There's lots of really cool stuff. There's like any good Zelda game, there's some hidden secrets. There's optional bosses you can find. I mean, I talked about, was it last show or the show before? I can't remember.
I think it was the last show because I bought it the day it came out. I think we both did, and we were talking about it.
But it's not good when you've maxed out like all the ability upgrades. You can do one for like speed, that basically you move a little bit faster and you can roll a lot quicker in between, and like the difference between the bottom and the top Not that much. Their upgrade system, I think, needed tweaking because it doesn't feel like you're really getting upgrades as you go, and
Yeah.
it takes a while in between. It's like I spent my points, and it doesn't feel like it changed a whole lot. But anyway, I maxed out, so I'm fastest, so I'm maneuverable, and I've almost maxed out a couple of the other ones, and I get to kind of what the final kind of the it sends you off into like a few different dungeons at some point, and I'd done almost all of them, and I was like the boss at the top of this mountain, and I died a bunch of times and said, all right, I'm done with this game. It's not like, say, a Dark Souls or any like From Software game where it's difficult, but it's always your fault for the most part, and you just have to get good at it. I felt like the game was fighting me, and I couldn't do this stuff fast enough because this boss just kept throwing things at you too fast to be able to completely like do it unless you're like absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah. I understand. Sometimes you just gotta walk away.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, I've tried this a bunch of times, and I'm done. It's just like, nah, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So how much have you played it, Dennis? You said like just
Only like
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you're probably in like the first couple, 2 or 3 areas then.
Yeah. And it's I mean I've been enjoying it so far. I think the art style is fantastic. I love the art direction of it, and game runs well. It's the attention to detail is incredible. Like just the way one of my favorite things that blew my mind right away was I accidentally slashed like a sign that I meant to read, and but like normally, in games, like I mean you can break signs all the time, but if you can still read them, you know I mean you read them and it just tells you what's on the sign. But what happened here was after I slashed it,
Yeah.
even the text box was cut in half,
Yep.
which was great.
Because I did the same thing.
It was fantastic, and
I managed to
things like
never
that.
do that. That's fun.
It's great. I've never seen that before, and it just blew my mind. It blew my mind, and just little things like that, little particle effects. Sometimes when you are close to keys, and when you slash a certain way, sometimes things take the shape of keys because keys are a big, sort of.
Oh
You
yeah,
see
there's a
keys.
lot of key shapes in that game.
Yeah, a lot of key shapes. So
Man, like the first weapon and the sword that you start with is decent, but literally every other weapon, well, except for the umbrella that's meant to be difficult that you also get at the beginning, they're way better.
mhm.
Once I found it, I stopped switching once I found a great sword pretty deep into the game because it gives you a lot more range. So even though it swings slower, you can get things from a little further away from you,
Yeah.
so you can be a little slightly bit safer. Although you also get some dual daggers that are fun because they're just really fast. So you just like go up and slash
Yeah.
things really fast. So they did a good job of making like all the weapons feel different, which is fun.
Yeah, and it just feels great to play. I mean, it's pretty fluid. I mean, yeah, some of the bosses and stuff. I mean, you really have to be almost pixel perfect sometimes. But overall, it's I mean, it's just an amazing.
That is
amazing.
not my experience at all with the bosses in that game.
How was it for you?
It was more of like a Zelda game for the most part, where you find out like, okay, they have their little pattern and you just do that and then you exploit it and then it's just a matter of like hitting it enough times to die. They weren't
Yeah.
that hard at all. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because I've played a bajillion, Dark Souls games, so bosses have to be
Well, yeah,
really
I
hard
mean,
before I consider it hard.
yeah,
But even then,
yeah.
it was just like the couple of like the harder things in that game were some just regular characters that weren't actually bosses that I hit. So maybe that you're talking about some stuff that I didn't think of as a boss. Because there are actual bosses in dungeons in that game. My favorite is
Yeah.
the second dungeon that's in kind of like a swampy area that was really cool. That was a fun
Yeah.
fight.
But overall, the game, I mean, so far feels fantastic. I'll catch up with you, Nathaniel, once I get
Yeah.
12 hours in and see the part that
Yeah.
you're talking about, and
I mean, you'll know when you hit this specific boss. You'll be like, oh, okay, that's the speedy one. Because like all the rest
Yeah.
of them, they're a lot more deliberate and they'll get like faster and stuff. But this was just like relentless. It's just like
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
And you had everything like upgraded like to the max.
For speed, yes, and I think I had my damage and something up to like the second to last dot. Because like whatever's like the bottom on the upgrade list, I didn't even bother upgrading. I don't think, if I remember. I'd have to boot it up again because it's been several weeks since I played it.
Yeah, the game is fantastic though, and which doesn't surprise me either, just because Devolver Digital has like a really good track record. So
Yeah.
more often than not, their games are.
To me, it feels like a Zelda game that they threw in a little bit of like Dark Soulsy mystery flavor, or just in the way that they deliver information to you.
Yeah,
but it's not anywhere near as difficult. Like Hollow Knight is much more of a Souls game than this is. Hollow Knight is way harder than this game.
Yeah, I mean, I never went into this thinking, or expecting the sort of Souls experience, anyways. So otherwise, I wouldn't be playing it.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost just from the art style and the cartoon. It's like cartoony, Dark Soulsy aesthetic because it's a little bit more towards dark fantasy in like this like world that it's in, the setting, but it's very much cel shaded cartoon. It's not trying to be super dark. It's just kind of like the cartoon version of a dark fantasy story.
Right.
But yeah, I've been playing that. Speaking of death, I've been playing At Dead of Night also. That game is super interesting in the fact that it's like a mix of like graphics and live action, and some of the stuff looks absolutely unbelievable. Like it's one of the most photorealistic games I've ever seen, honestly. And the game basically is like a point and click kind of. It's a horror game in which you go around this hotel and you go and explore room to room to room, but you're also trying to contact these spirits. Meanwhile, you're doing that also simultaneously trying to run away from this crazy killer that's going around the place, and you're trying to figure out what happened here in this hotel, uncovering like why this dude is like this, so on and so forth. And how you move around is you literally just click an area and then you just kind of go there. So it's a point and click in that regard, but it's first person. And the movement is fairly quick too. It's not like some of the other, like, your typical point and click, like let's just say like a Siberia or something like that, where it's just, click here, then they very slowly walk to that location.
Can't speed it up, can you?
Yeah, but with all due respect to Siberia, because Siberia is great, but just using that as an example. But At Dead of Night, like, I mean, the moment you click somewhere, like you're there. I mean, it's not like an instant change, but it has a very fast transition, as if you're running to the location, and it's just, I mean, the atmosphere was solid, and you really felt like you were in that hotel. It was just such a great experience. Some of the live action, like FMV stuff, can be kind of corny, honestly. And oddly enough, those parts, the game itself ran well, but the actual FMV stuff, I don't know why, was at like 15 frames. I don't know why. Maybe that was just happening to
I can
me.
guarantee it's to keep file size down.
Probably.
And stuff so that it'll run. Right. Because video files can go whoosh really quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah. And but yeah, it was just very jarring. So it was weird, seeing those segments. But overall, the game is super unique. Honestly, I've never really played anything like it. I mean, it borrows from stuff, and it's definitely, it's not like, I wouldn't say the first of its kind, but just the way it's put together just definitely makes it a memorable experience, and kind of a one-of-a-kind memorable experience. It really is, like, especially graphically, just one of the most impressive things I've seen in such a long time. And if you like sort of investigative stuff, as well as just point-and-click stuff in general, please do yourself a favor and check it out. And the horror atmosphere, they just kind of nail really well. Also, and just think of like if you went into The Shining, but like after it happened, and you're still, it's this creepy sort of abandoned hotel, but you have that history there, and you're trying to figure out, or get answers for these sorts of events. Basically,
making me think of the old like Myst games or like Riven and stuff that whole studio did way back when.
Sure.
Where you're like going through an area, but there's something has happened before you were there. It's all this mystery, and then they even use some live action sprites and stuff in that game. Although not very well, because it's way back in the day. But yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah. They're always on like a poor green screen, and But yeah, definitely check that out if you're into games like that. In addition to that, speaking of locations, I've been playing Chernobylite also, and that game, we got that for review, and the review is finished. Is it up now?
Yeah,
Is it
it
up?
went up this morning.
Okay, cool. So go to thegamerslounge.com to check out the review for Chernobylite.
I would have got it up
of...
last night, but I was too tired.
Oh yeah, no worries. No worries. But yeah, if you want more in-depth look at it, definitely check out the review over at thegamerslounge.com. But Chernobylite it's overall, like, I liked it. Now it tries to set itself apart from like Metro and Stalker. However, and like the marketing is very like horror based. Like when you look at
Right.
it, you're like, oh my god, this game looks super scary. You start playing it. The opening was incredible. The opening was absolutely amazing. Like it set the tone for everything. The problem is like that first 20 to 30 minutes opening is basically, you don't see that again for a very long time. Very long time. And then instead it's this methodical sort of, because it's also a survival game, and you have to like build your base and recruit people that you see that are just kind of spread throughout Chernobyl. And and then you send people out on missions. So you yourself are going out on the mission, and you can do the story missions, but meanwhile, if you want like more resources and stuff, I mean, you can collect them yourself when you're out in the field. But you can also assign people to just be like, hey, go look for food, or hey, go look for crafting materials, and then hey, you go look for ammo and weapons and stuff like that. So, and you can assign them that way, but everything just, because of the big emphasis on stealth, even though you do still have these weapons, it honestly feels like a very laid back military shooter more than anything else. And that's not what I wanted from this game. I wanted an awesome sort of horror experience, like they said it would be, in taking place in Chernobyl, because Chernobyl's always been like kind of like a fascinating sort of location, just because of what happened back in the 80s.
Right.
So and you've seen so many books and games and movies, sort of take the sort of story and the history there with all the radiation and whatnot, and kind of use that to help propel the story they're trying to tell, basically. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, man, like, a lot of missed opportunities. Again, not hating on the game. Game is awesome. It's really, really good. However, you need to have a lot of patience to play that game. A lot of patience, because they definitely emphasize on the survival aspect of it as well, and they do it really well. It's not like it's unbalanced or anything. It's just, I mean, you really have to put in the time and the work to really just make it out alive. But also, the reason why you're there is because you play the scientist, and he's basically looking for his wife. Now she disappeared like decades ago, basically. But he started hearing voices in his head, and like of her, basically, and he's been basically went back to Chernobyl to figure out what's going on, and try to get more information. But the character you play, he himself is not a he's not a soldier. He's a scientist, actually. And another reason why he wants to go back is because he wants to take advantage of all the Chernobylite that's there, which is why the game is called that, which is this sort of material that looks like a green version of like the Tesseract, basically. So, and you harvest all of that, and then with that, basically, you can create tears in time. Now, that doesn't mean you can go back in time, at least not traditionally. But you can spawn at different locations because you're using this effectively as like a portal, basically. So once you're done with a mission, you open up this tear, basically, and then you walk through this portal, and then you're back at your base once you're done with a mission. Now, the sort of time reversal thing, if you want to call it that, is it has this really neat mechanic of when you die. When you die, you're basically, you spawn in this place that is nothing but Chernobylite. It's this long, almost Asgardian looking bridge, but except it's made of Chernobylite, basically. And these branches on the side of this bridge are basically they serve as your memory, basically. And you can go and choose if you want to choose different outcomes, because every choice you make in that game matters. Like every choice. Now, a lot of games say that, and then like you make these choices, and you can probably end up with the same ending as someone else who made different choices. But in this one, literally every choice matters. So you need to be very sure that everything you choose is exactly how you want it. Unless you're going for multiple playthroughs, then by all means, just pick whatever. But if you want to go for that one-time unique experience playthrough, you got to make sure that matters. And this also includes when people, if you want people to join you, in your sort of expedition, not everyone's going to be up for it, and you got to really persuade them, and you got to make sure like, hey, like, I can offer this for you, it's like, and when you get back from base, you have to feed everybody with the food rations, and then that's hard because you get to choose between like, I'm feeding you nothing, I'm feeding you a little bit, I'm feeding you a normal amount, or I'm feeding you double the amount. And each one of those can affect someone's mood, and someone's sort of loyalty to you as well. And it's not like one of those procedurally generated things where, oh, well, you just get more people over time. No. There's a set cast of characters, and that's, what you get. So it can get extremely frustrating, and you need a lot of patience. I pretty much reached a point where I had enough, and I started using mods basically because I was like, I can't enjoy this anymore. Now, once I started using mods, I was enjoying it again because the game was a lot more palatable. But I could only go so long without them, especially with the base building stuff, which is fine, but you spend way too much time in there that it kills the pacing and the mood of that game. But it's not a bad game, except again, they said they were inspired by Stalker and Metro and stuff like that, but they wanted to do their own thing. But ultimately, having played it, doesn't feel much different, other than it doesn't feel as combat heavy. It definitely emphasizes the stealth more so. But because again, you're not a soldier, so they don't want you really going around, going Rambo basically. Right. But you absolutely can. I mean, once you there's a skill tree, and once you learn your stuff, you can learn how to handle the gun and have better accuracy and have double damage and stuff like that. But that's not the point, of it or what your character is about. So, yeah, you're more so of collecting data, utilizing that data to your advantage, and taking it from there, because there's not only other soldiers there, but there's like supernatural entities and things like that, but they're so few and far between that everything just feels very linear and just unexciting, and I just wanted a more horror experience. And and while they were there, they were very sporadic, and it wasn't enough to make me happy in the end. So again, the game is far from bad. If you go see Steam reviews, it's pretty well received, actually.
Sounds like you just want a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, basically. Just a lot more of, because that was their big marketing thing, and maybe they did that just because it was like, look, this is how we're different, but once you start playing it, it really feels not that much different. So than those other types of games. So, but yeah, if you want more in-depth stuff, go check it out at thegamerslounge.com. And continuing on the trend of locations, I I played The Forgotten City recently because I know we got a review code for that, and I technically beat it already. It has 4 endings. Yeah, it has 4 endings, and like the way it works, because the game is based around kind of similar to Chernobylite in terms of this time, like this time sort of flexibility where you're constantly going through this time loop. And in the Forgotten City, there's this thing called the golden rule, and if you break that golden rule, what happens is literally everybody dies, and everybody gets turned to gold basically. And so that golden rule is basically don't do anything uncivilized. So don't break the law, basically. So don't kill anybody, don't commit adultery, don't steal, so on and so forth, basically. Right. And because if you do any of those things that could be potentially harmful to somebody, then the golden rule is broken, and and then literally the entire place collapses. Everybody starts turning to gold, and then you got to run. And what happens after that is you run and you go through this portal, and then you restart the day. It's almost like Edge of Tomorrow in a way, and like you kind of have you die and then you start again, you die, you start again, but you keep everything from the last run, if you will, almost like a roguelike kind of. But it's a very, even though it's a Skyrim mod, but don't go into it expecting it to play like Skyrim. If anything, it's more of a very detective-based game because you're going around talking to everybody and trying to figure out like, who's going to do this weird thing, who's going to break the golden rule on purpose, who wants to wreak havoc, so on and so forth. But as you're doing that, you're really getting to know all these characters, and you're meeting all these characters over and over and over again. It just creates a really nice sense of character development, not just for the people that live there, but also you. And you start to realize like, oh, these people kind of have a similar story to me, because when you start the game, you wake up in like right next to this river, and there's this lady there with you, and she's like, hey, I found you like crossing, or floating on the river. So I just, brought you back to good health, and now you're here. There was also another dude named Al or something like that. You mind going to look for him? He went down those ruins. So you go down those ruins or whatever, and then you end up in this forgotten city of Rome, basically, and then you just kind of figure the story kind of figures itself out from there. But you keep looping is a big thing of that game. So I mean, you're not gonna get everything in the first go around. You're gonna need to keep looping and looping and looping. And it's just super interesting, and the way everything just kind of falls together is very cleverly done. The game is absolutely amazing so far, and I've only gotten one of the 4 endings, but I'm really curious to see what the rest are. It seemed like the 4th ending 4 of 4, is actually the true ending, but you actually can't get that without having gotten the other 3 endings first, just because of how the stories branch and how they work and how they intertwine and whatnot. So, but the game is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so, if you want something that serves as a period piece, but also something that, also rewards you for your exploration and has great character development and a fantastic story, go check out The Forgotten Sea. I think it's only like $25 too. So it's well worth the price. So, and then I think it's like $30 on console, something like that. But either way, regardless of your platform of choice, I mean, check it out. It's great. But again, don't go in expecting Skyrim or a type of Skyrim, even though it's a Skyrim mod, because it doesn't play like that. Yeah. But it's fantastic. So, but yeah. In addition to that, I played Night Delivery the other day. That's another game by a studio called Chilla's Art. They actually like crank games out like every other month. It's crazy. They're always these. It's 2 brothers, and they're great. They're great, honestly. It's a lot of their games have such a unique Japanese horror flavor that a lot of games, even though they try to replicate it, aren't very good at. But these guys like are, live in Japan. They were raised in Japan. They are Japanese, and so they can like, construct the feeling and the atmosphere and the environment very, very well. And they're very simplistic too. They're mostly just kind of like walking horror simulators, but you still have like puzzle elements and things like that. But Night Delivery, basically you play as this guy who's going to deliver a bunch of these packages in this apartment complex. But as you're delivering each package, you're starting to realize like these people, they're not right. There's something wrong with these people. All these tenants, I don't know what's going on here. I don't like these like rabid animals. I don't know what's going on here. Everybody's messed up in some sort of way, and then you're trying to just put the pieces together, and yeah, and then it just all kind of goes from there. But compared to their other games, honestly, this one was okay. It wasn't that scary. They've done better before, but again, this is a team that, I mean, they crank games like, when I say every other month, I literally mean every other month. Like, go look at them on Steam and look at all their release dates. They'll have another one here within the next month. And so, but But even though they're short experiences, like maybe they usually don't go more than 2 hours at a time. Some of them are like 4 or 5+ hours, but they're always like super affordable too. They're usually around $2 or $3. I think their most expensive one is like $7, but otherwise, they average. They don't typically go higher than $5. Typically, they usually average at about like $2 or $3 a piece, and they're a great studio. And honestly, for a team that cranks games out so often, and each game has its own flavor, even though there's all in that they're all in that J horror sort of category. They have their own flavor, and and they're not they work well, considering. I mean, it's not to say they don't have bugs from time to time. I mean, they certainly do. I mean, Night Delivery crashed on me like twice, but other than that, runs well. There's no like crazy glitches or anything like that, and nothing that soft locks me or anything like that. So they handle their stuff very well, considering the some people would argue, oh, what's quantity over quality, but I mean they kind of found a nice balance of doing both and making sure people have that healthy supply of Japanese horror on a seemingly monthly basis. It's almost like a subscription.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then lastly, I played a little bit of Shadow vs. Champions Battle. This game is awesome. This game is great. It recently came out, I think, on August 10th, so 4 days ago actually. And this is effectively anime Hearthstone. That's all it is. It's Hearthstone, but anime, but what sets it apart from other games like that, because obviously there's been a lot of Hearthstone inspired games over the last couple of years, basically since Hearthstone came out. But what sets it apart is that this game, at its core, is an RPG. So you do get to walk around in almost this Persona-esque fashion, and like you're in school, and other people love Shadowverse, and you get to walk around various parts of Japan. It's not just games like these. The thing that bothers me about games like these, and this is especially prevalent with a big IP, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh. For some reason, a lot of them just prefer, even though with a big property like Yu-Gi-Oh and games like those that just have massive names behind them, the biggest problem with them is like they're always the same in the fact that it's just a menu. That's what you're introduced to, is a menu. You click play, multiplayer, and then you're in a match, almost like a live service type stuff. I don't want that. I'm sick and tired of that. You got millions of dollars, spend it, do something with it. And then like Shadowverse finally gave that perfect balance of like, here's an awesome RPG experience. It's not open world, but more like open hub. And like, here's an awesome experience. And what we're going to do with it is like the combat is effectively, Hearthstone combat. But otherwise, outside of that, you have this awesome RPG that's set in Japan, and it plays very similarly to like, let's just say like Digimon Cyber Sleuth, Persona, games like that, Sakura Wars, you name it. And it's awesome. Like it's the most robust card game experience I've ever had. Now there's been other ones in recent memory that have done similar things like that. Like I know we reviewed a game on the Gamers Lounge a couple years ago actually called Trulon the Shadow Engine, I think. And that was on PlayStation 4. That one was also like an RPG with card mechanics and stuff like that. So, and that one was like really refreshing also. And I think that what was that? Was it Thronebreaker, The Witcher?
Yes, that one
yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, that one's
I was
awesome
thinking about that
too.
too.
Yeah, exactly. That one's awesome too. More stuff like that, please. No more of this menu management nonsense, because if you're going to do that, just be a free-to-play app. I'm tired. I'm done with it. Like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist game is literally just what I'm complaining about. And every Yu-Gi-Oh! Game has been like that too. You can't, you have such a big property that's sold millions and millions, if not billions, all across the globe. And yet you opt time and time again for just select the mode and start playing. And that's it. Like I don't know. I just want a robust adventure. I don't know why that's too much to ask for, but apparently it is. So
because they keep selling enough of them that they don't have to.
It's true. It's true. Like even for as empty as a game, like let's just say like Bakugan was, at least that tried, and it was still enjoyable to some degree. A lot of people crapped on it, and that's fine, but and I mean it's far from great, believe me. But also like I appreciate the attempt. It worked to a degree. There were a lot of things that were shallow and just very basic. I mean, it is a children's game, so that's just how it's going to be. But uh, yeah, I appreciate the effort because that sort of, I don't know, it just makes the game feel a lot more in depth, even if the game is, in Bakugan's case, extremely shallow. It just, at least being able to walk around and see this world, however lively or dead it is, and it's definitely dead in terms of Bakugan. But in Shadowverse, it's extremely lively. It's great. You see people walking down the street all the time. It's filled with NPCs left and right. You can talk with majority of them, if not all of them, and everybody's got something to say. And the game also, it's interesting because it's the best, if not the only game that's probably done this, the best non-live service game I've ever played. Because like, if you just wanted to get that game for multiplayer purposes only, you could enjoy it also, honestly, because there is a battle pass, believe it or not, and they are going to update it like as they do with the mobile app every once in a while, because Shadowverse has been around since 2016. I think you can get it on mobile as well as Steam. Actually, they have the card game on Steam. But this new one is on Switch only. It's exclusive to Switch. And it's more of an anime adaptation with a different art direction. There's an anime based off of Shadowverse, and the cards are all the same. They'll look the same, but the art direction in terms of like the presentation is completely different. So, and this is more in line with the anime. But it's still an original story, and it's honestly, it's just a fantastic game. So if you like card games, and especially if you like Hearthstone, and RPGs, I cannot recommend. Like, this needs to be in your library. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So, but yeah, that's everything I've been playing.
Cool. Nathaniel, I see you've been playing The Ascent. I did download it on Xbox and play it for
I downloaded that one too.
A few minutes. I haven't played it
for
very long.
Yeah, I haven't been playing too much, so I've only got 2 games. That's one of them. I was just wanting something kind of I didn't have to think about, so I've actually played several hours of Burnout Paradise this week.
I saw you on
a game that I've played into the hundreds of hours before in the past when it was out originally.
Wait a minute, he's on his Xbox playing Burnout. All right.
Well, it's like I remember this. Like, wait, I forgot that I have Burnout on my Xbox. Like I got the remastered because it was on sale forever ago or something.
Right.
So I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go play that and win some races, progress that game a little bit. And I got the power parking achievement because I don't know why that thing's so rare. It's not that hard to do. It's even like the very first junkyard in that game that you start off. You go around the corner and there's a street that has a bunch of like cars on the side that have like pretty decent gaps, and so you have different places you can attempt it. Because what you need to do is you're like go down and you have to do like down the road at like certain enough speed, hit the e-brake and do like a spin. So you do like a 180 into the parking space, and depending on how like parallel to the sidewalk you are, if you bump the cars, it gives you like a percentage rating, and you have to get 100%. The first one I did was 99%.
So I like
to had to do it.
It's the Blues Brothers parking. That's what I always tell Dennis we need to do with the boat when we're playing Sea of Thieves. Let's Blues Brother this. Just.
But I mean, they don't even make you do it on like a small gap or anything. It's like you can have like pretty big gap between cars that still have plenty of room, like almost a car length on front and behind if you do it right. It's probably just because I've played that game so much. It's like, all right, this is easy. I'll get that achievement. And then the one that's like evading me is like, I want to get the one where I've found all the events on the map and I have one left and I haven't found it. And that game has like dozens and dozens. It's like any intersection with a stoplight is one of the like race or show like the other different events and stuff in that game. And it's like there's one, and I know like okay, here's a blank intersection, here's one, but I go through there's no stoplights. Like where's the last one? I haven't found it yet. I'm well over 75% of all of the like shortcut gate smashes. I'm over halfway done with all the billboards you can smash.
Busy.
I mean, I'd had some progress before I'd started, but I was like below half when I started for both of those. It's not that difficult to just like, you just systematically go like, okay, here's like a thing. I'll go through all these gates, then I'll loop around. Here's some other yellow gates. Just smash all the yellow things. Plus, since I've played it before, when I see one of the billboards, I'm like, okay, I know I have to do that ramp to get it, or that one looks like there's nothing to get it. That means I have to go to the parking deck over here and go to the roof and jump off that. It's like I've already done all the exploration on that map. It's like I remember a whole lot of it, so it's not too much of figuring it out. It's just going to do it. But yeah, did a few races, did a few other things, unlocked a few cars, and I'm like, all right, that's fun. And then I started playing the Ascent a couple days ago. I can't remember when I started it. I played maybe 6 hours or so because I hadn't played it a lot until today. It's pretty good. I give it a solid like B plus kind of a game. I think it's like 10 or 11 people in the studio who made it. So the fact that it looks as good as it does and plays as well as it does is like, all right, okay, give it a pass. Like if it was like a full-on big, huge like Ubisoft makeup, like all right, some of these things I would hold against you way more.
Yeah.
But there's just a few like little things about it that's kind of like, and then it has some like frame rate dips and stuff in it for the PC version specifically that I don't think it does on console. And it's really, it has ray tracing in it, but if you turn it off, it looks almost exactly the same. So turn it off, it'll run a lot better.
I'd heard something that somebody said that the ray tracing wasn't actually activated on the PC version. It's only on the console version right now. That's why it doesn't look any different when you actually turn it on. It's because it
sure runs different. So it's definitely doing something because it's like it'll run at a slower frame rate and then it'll like dip a whole lot and it just feels a lot more unstable and stuff. And as soon as I turn the ray tracing back off, it's like, oh hey, smooth. I'm getting 100 and whatever frames all the time in here.
I'd
it's much better.
Somebody on another podcast talking about that. There was some kind of issue that it wasn't actually turning on ray tracing. It was something screwed up with it.
It could be, but there's other things.
Using it, so.
There's some other things in the PC version too that apparently have had some issues. A couple of which I think they've fixed before I got to play. Got it because I was reading threads from back when it released a couple of weeks ago, whenever that was. But yeah, this is like, it's a small studio. They'll get to it eventually, hopefully. But yeah, it's a good game. It's worth playing. It's kind of like I would call it a twin stick shooter that is also an RPG light. It's not like heavy RPG. You can get like different gear to equip. You can get some augmentation mods or whatever because Cyberpunk stuff has to have that, man. You have to install stuff in your brain or whatever. Doesn't really actually say where these things are going. They're just called augmentations. You like level up just like any good old RPG, and you can put it into a few different kind of like skills which affect some of your other stats because they're all tied with specific stats for your body basically. So it like gives you kind of like natural stats that like sit at a place, and then when you equip gear that upgrades certain stats, so you want to get a certain different set because it does better for fire damage or whatever, then because you're going somewhere that has a lot of like things exploding, maybe you want that one. That's about it. It's not like super in depth. There's a lot of like drops and things, but there's not a lot of different ones, so you'll pick up a lot of the same gun a lot of the time. Right. I've probably seen maybe 8 total different kinds of guns, and you can upgrade them, and then once you do that, any of the guns that you get are the same. So it's just like, hey, pick up guns, sell them to get your money. It starts a little bit slow, but once it like actually unlocks all the things, once you get through kind of like the tutorial area and then into the like main part, it's a lot better than when it started out for me. Gotcha. I was like, oh, this is fine. It looks really pretty, but the game itself was kind of like, eh. But now I've got like, you can equip 2 guns at a time and you can swap between them, and then you have, I forget what they call it, but basically the first thing you get is a grenade and you click the stick to do that, but that's based on like a little meter you have to fill up that every time you damage an enemy it kind of like fills it up, and different things you equip there have different like amounts of, we'll call it gun XP for, it's not called that, but that's basically what it is. That like, okay, this one's a lot more of a big crazy ability, so it takes a lot more enemies killed before you fill it up and to be able to use it. Then you have your augment things that are on like your shoulder buttons, and they use kind of like energy, so it's kind of like a mana bar. If it were like a fantasy game, it'd be magic. it's kind of the same type of thing. So you get different stuff on there. My favorite is one of the first ones you get is like this punch that basically disintegrates people. So you're just like, and if it's a group of people, they're all just like turn to dust. You're like, yes, that helped a lot, because this game will swarm you with enemies.
Yeah.
There's so many, and it's just like, okay, I'll try to kite backwards, but that won't work because of the way they spawn in. It's like, hey, here's a couple enemies, and then like 4 more will crawl up around the sides of like whatever walkway you're on, because the environment is basically like a giant tall skyscraper stack of buildings and things. It's all vertical, so it's all supportive walkways and things that people could just like climb up pretty much anywhere for the most part, unless you're in like one of the wider places that are bigger.
Yeah.
But it's got quite a few areas. Like the map is pretty big. I've got like so many different areas of it now, because I've got like one level that's I've explored a bunch, and then you go up to another level that I've also explored a bunch. So I have no idea how much of stuff is even in this game, but pretty cool so far.
Yeah.
Any main mission, there's some voice acting with it that's okay. Any of like the side mission stuff, or just people that you talk to on the street, will either just be like a little text box pop up, or they might have kind of like we'll call rewind audio talking, where like it's just like sounds like someone talking backwards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just a version of like Sims talk or whatever, but that's what it sounds like, is somebody put it in a tape recorder and went rewinded while they're playing.
Right. Yeah.
At a certain point, you get like bounties, so you get like a random spawn of a named enemy. If you kill it and bring like the little drop back to any of the bars on the planet, they'll give you, money for it. It's kind of useful. It gets like the ones I've got, the low level ones are like 1,000. I forget what the currency's called, but like 1,000 gold a piece. But like if you sell some of your extra weapons, it's like, oh hey, there's like way more cash that I got from that than I got from the 2 guys that I finally killed over at this place.
Yeah, I've only played like that much of it. I just played the little tutorial bit of it. Last weekend was not a good weekend for me to try to play games.
Yeah, it's really cool so far. I'm gonna keep playing it. It's very much. Once I found this SMG small machine gun thing, I'm just like, all right, that's my gun I'm using, because I've tried some of the other ones. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Although I did just get like a shotgun that's fire damage, so I might try using that for a little bit, see if I can set enemies on fire. But just like just spraying bullets, and it's great. Once you get the hang of, they also have like this weird 2 level of height of fire that you're shooting. That's a little bit weird for, twin stick shooters. Usually just like, here, point your like laser targeter thing and hold the button to shoot, which you do that, but you're kind of firing from the hip when you do that.
Right.
And then like any kind of like third person or FPS game, if you hold the left trigger, you're kind of like bringing it up to aim. So what that does effectively is, if you're doing that and you're firing at a short enemy, you won't hit them, because it's hard to see because of the isometric view, but you're like firing at 2 different heights basically.
Yeah.
Instead of the way the game explains it and stuff, think of it more like, okay, don't use this unless you're behind cover, because if you duck behind cover, they can't shoot you, but if you then hold the left trigger and fire, you'll fire over cover, and that's how you use that mechanic. Don't do it if you're just running around.
Right, yeah.
Because it doesn't really gain you anything. But there are some times when you have to get behind cover, you're just going to get shredded.
Right. Yeah, they throw a lot at you sometimes.
It's like, here's a bunch of enemies. Like the first tutorial area is like, hey, here's all these enemies that just try and melee you. No. After that, people have guns.
Yeah.
So they will be shooting you.
Yeah.
And then there's like guys with samurai swords, and they'll like mix it up and send like melee and other stuff. Which, here's some of the small things about the game that I wish it had. I wish it had a sprint button, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
You can do kind of like the dive roll, and that's kind of like any good Zelda game. You just roll everywhere.
Yeah, that's
and it speeds you up a little bit. But it's just like,
there was places,
I want to sprint.
Yeah, well, there was places in the tutorial level that there was nothing for a very long time, and you just had to. I say a very long time, but it was a good.
It's very short, John. Trust me.
I know, but
the rest of the game is so much bigger than that. That it's just like you're running around a lot of places.
Yeah,
it's just like, I want a regular just sprint in that game.
And that's what I wanted, and I kept trying to hold down the stick to like try to run a little faster. I'm like, nope, apparently there's no sprint button. So it's like,
I want a basic ass melee button, just like any shooter would have, where you like hit them with your gun butt or whatever, or you maybe have a knife or something. because you can equip like that thing I talked about. What it's an ability that uses energy, so you can't just do it all the time. So if you get like a bunch of guys in your face, you might not have enough energy to just do it.
Right. Yeah.
So they have a bunch of enemy types that are melee. They'll come running at you with swords or clubs or something, and you just have to like, oh crap, I'm reloading and back away. You can't just be like bash them in the face real quick. Like it just feels like something it should have, but based on the small team and just the scope of this and how many mechanics they do have in there, and then just like the amount of just art assets and everything, it's like I can understand why that didn't make it in. But I really like a sprint button.
Yeah.
It would be very helpful for navigating that place. It's really cool how they do some of the perspective shifts too, because the camera will move around every once in a while to kind of like turn and give you a different look, or even just the way they do some stairwells and stuff. So you're going to different layers within kind of the level you're on, or like there's some elevators and stuff too. So it's really cool. It does some really neat things. It's just it has enough like small things in it that holds it back from being, just an absolute awesome game, but it's still really good, worth playing. B plus. Yeah. Especially on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, try it out. See if you like it.
I downloaded it. I was interested, but based on your description, now I at least have to try it and see what it is.
Yeah.
And you can play co-op, but
is it co-op crossplay or just limited to Xbox?
I don't remember if it's crossplay or not, but I would beware playing co-op, because that's where like a huge amount of the problems I was reading about were at, where they'll just like lose progress and you have to go back to the very start because there's no save button. It's just auto-saving constantly in there.
Right.
So yeah, like the co-op apparently has had some issues, at least on PC. I would assume probably with the console version too, just because of the way that it works. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been playing it single player and it's fun.
Yeah, I intend to play more of it whenever I get time.
Yeah, like if you like the kind of the aesthetic of it, or you want to see a twin stick
world.
shooter that's very pretty, then give it a try.
Yeah, the world is really, really cool. It almost feels more cyberpunk, I thought, than cyberpunk did. Just
at first, yes.
Yeah.
But it's definitely very much the grungy trash and things just destroyed everywhere kind of cyberpunk, because there's like, hey, look, here's a thing that crashed forever ago that's blocking this pathway, or hey, here's just a bunch of trash piled off on the side because no one's picking up this trash. It's very much one of those environments.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times cyberpunk, the game, you got to remember that that's based on the tabletop or the
tabletop game.
The tabletop game from the 80s on how they thought things would, a lot of things, cyberpunky things have changed since the 80s on the way things look, except for Blade Runner. But and that was but I think it's a different
I would say this game has very much a Blade Runner aesthetic to certain areas, especially when I got to an area that was raining outside and there were people running around with domed clear umbrellas that look like they just like we're watching Blade Runner and be like, let's put that in our game.
Yeah.
There's a flying cop car that randomly showed up at one point that looks very, very close to the spinner from Blade Runner. So it's just like, yeah, they're definitely throwing a bit of Blade Runner in here too.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the style almost. It looked a lot like Ruiner to me. I don't know if you guys have played Ruiner, but
a little bit.
Like
yeah, it does have a kind of a little bit of a similar style to that. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much stuff in that game. It's kind of insane that 11 people made it. It looks way more complicated and polished than, even with its problems, than like an 11-person team. But I mean, I'm pretty sure they were all like big game developers before this, and like, hey, let's start an indie studio and make a game, kind of a thing that you see every once in a while.
Yeah, seems to be.
So it's like, hey, they know what they're doing. Weird how that works.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not perfect, but it's very impressive.
Yeah, it is. Let's get into the news real quick. Some of the bigger stories since we've been away is the PS5 software beta is out that adds SSD storage. That has been.
Did you watch the Digital Foundry video about it?
I did, yes, and how the SSD, the expanded storage, is actually faster than what's in.
Well, it depends on what you put in it,
Right.
but yeah, the one they were testing with, it's like, hey, it meet or exceeds all of the stuff Sony says specs wise,
Yeah,
and hey,
and
it
loads
works
faster. So.
really great.
Yeah, it loads a lot faster.
I mean, slightly faster. It looked like it was, for the most part, like it would be on par. It's not anything, unless you're literally putting a stopwatch to it, that you would notice. It's not like, hey, suddenly it goes from a minute to 10 seconds or anything like that. It's like shaves off a second or two at most.
There's a lot of, a lot of requirements. It has to be, an M2 Gen 4. The speed has to be at least, at minimum, 5,500 megabits.
Yeah.
They recommend a heat sink.
Heat sinks.
So, if you don't buy one with a heat sink, then you have to buy a heat sink for it. It has to be a certain size, height, length, everything. Which length is not that big a deal. I don't know of any that are this long. I mean,
no. I don't know why it would say length so much. I think that's more for, because like the M.2s are all standard. They're your long one or your short one. There's two sizes. That's right. It'd be more about like the heat sink that comes with it. If the heat sink sticks out too far and it won't fit into whatever little bay that's in your PS5, that'd be more of what you would run into.
Right. And the thing is there, the bay cover that goes on that is a little beveled anyway. So it's like you got this much more space that you can actually deal with. But
it'd be like if you get ones or a separate one that's like a heatsink for an M.2 that's more of like a narrow, thin one, because you can get some that are meant to go in like a desktop PC and they're a lot like taller and thicker, that would not fit in there.
Right. And us being PC savvy people, we all understand. Yeah, exactly.
I can't even count how many times I've done an M.2 drive in my job. So yeah, I would be very comfortable in putting one in my PS5.
Yeah. It's not hard to put one in. I mean, it's not hard to put it in at all. It's just, what worries me is your they're going to have to come out with a sticker on it that says, for use with can be used with PlayStation 5, or people are just
they're going to market them that way. There's going to be, people who make those, they'll just put that sticker on their box, and that way they'll get people to buy them.
Because I mean, like, I've been seeing comments on YouTube or on Twitter, and people go on, hey, this one's, this is such a much better idea than what Xbox has. Look how much cheaper this memory is, and they link something. This thing is half the price of it. This is the one I'm going to buy. And I immediately go, yeah, that's not going to work in your PlayStation 5 because that's not the right specs. That's why
that's the Digital Foundry video that I want to see. Then they do the next one where they test like crappy ones that shouldn't work in there and see how bad they are. That's the video I want to watch.
Well, I've watched some guys who have done that, and they've put ones in that have lower specs than what it calls for. It just doesn't work.
I'm sure like the PlayStation 5 hardware or like the OS says, oh, that's not right, so I just won't activate it.
It just won't activate it. It pops it in and goes, you got a drive in there that you can't use. You need to take it out, and get one that will work. One nice
funny
thing
is if you would put one in and it'd go, you're like trying to look to activate it, and would just say like a message like, your drive sucks, with like a frowny face or something dumb.
Sad. But what is nice about it is, though, when you put it in and format it, you get the full one. If it's a terabyte drive, you've got a full terabyte, which is nice. It's not like,
it shouldn't be anything else. It's a secondary drive, but nothing else is on it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even with stuff like that, sometimes there's even with the putting in a external hard drive on the PlayStation 4, there was a little bit of space that was not usable because it had system stuff on it,
right?
And so it was
nice. That one I would assume. So are you talking about like an external drive or one you would put inside it? If it's USB plugging in.
Well, internal. Yeah, it would still do it even if you upgraded the internal.
Yeah.
So it was just.
I would say that's probably the difference between hard drives, because there's more variation in, whereas like M.2s are a lot more standardized, so they could account for that. And maybe when they were designing the PS5, they probably were like, okay, we can account for this, so we can make sure that it'll.
Yeah.
I was very happy to see that, because it surprised me, because all those years of putting a drive in a PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 4, it'd always say, yeah, I put in a 4 terabyte drive, but it was really only 3.5 terabytes.
Well,
because
here's
I had
also
to
the
have-
difference, because there you're putting in a drive to replace the drive, right? It's not a secondary drive.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
This is a secondary drive because you still have your main storage on
Yeah.
your main board, so you really have 2 drives. So
Right.
because of that, it doesn't have to put anything like system related on it.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think about that. But yeah, it was nice to actually see, hey, I'm going to get a full I paid for a full terabyte. I get a full terabyte.
Like you got what you paid for.
Yeah, like my 512 gigabyte memory
Yeah.
card that I bought for the Switch, and it's only 476 is actually useful. It's like,
I think, does this beta also have something about 3D audio for TV speakers now too?
Yes, it does.
I'm curious to see how that actually like works or doesn't, because there's so many more variables for speakers than there are for just headphones on your ears.
And nobody has done any of that with the beta software. The only thing everybody's been interested in is the SSD stuff.
I mean, for good reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have prices of SSDs dropped? No, they're still terabytes are $200. 2 terabytes are twice that much. It'll take up to a 4 terabyte. Good gosh, they're $1,000. It's like
I don't think I will ever put one in my PS5 just because of the way I use it is completely different. Like almost the opposite of the way you use it, where you're just like, I have my vault, I put all the games in, and I must have them all installed. But I'm just like, when I'm mostly done with it, it's going off of there. The ones that I might play, I leave it on there, but I don't hardly ever have anywhere close to filling up a drive.
The only reason that I would probably put one in is to get maybe that little bit of faster load speed on some games. I mean, because I do like that on like Spider-Man, playing it on PlayStation 5. It loads instantaneously, which is nice. But everybody's like, oh well, the Xbox memory is only half as fast as a PlayStation. Yeah, but stuff still loads freaking fast on it. And
yeah, it's just people have to find something to complain about. Like, all right, go back to the previous console that still had mechanical drives, and then talk about the new Xboxes and PlayStations.
Let me load
how
up.
Slow they are.
Let me load up Red Dead Redemption that takes like 2.5-3 minutes to load the game at the beginning.
So they recently added DLSS to the PC version of Red Dead 2, and so I still had it installed. I hadn't uninstalled it, so I booted it, downloaded the update, booted it up, and it still takes, running off the SSD in my PC, still takes quite a bit to load. That game just has so many assets, I think, that no matter what you're on, it's going to take some time.
On my Series X, it takes just under 1 minute to load the entire game at the beginning. But once it does, it never really loads again, other than,
Games like that I don't mind. Like that, or like Last of Us Part 2, or just a ton of games do it where they do the longer load at the start, but then they have all the streaming behind the scenes, so you're never loading in later unless you die or load a save or something.
And Sea of Thieves is a good one because Dennis plays it on PC. I'm playing it on Series X, and I'll load in. And it'll be like, hey, where you at? What's going on? I'm still loading. Give me a minute. I'm like, you got a solid state drive on there, right? On your PC, right? Yeah, but it's still taking a few minutes to load for some reason. But it's like those situations. Yeah, and I know Eric was going to say Gears 5.
Gears of War.
Like that too. Yeah.
Gears 5, yeah.
Yeah, because me and Eric would be standing there waiting on Dennis to load in.
30 seconds later.
I'll get that series eventually.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get one by Forza anyway, so I'm gonna need one by Forza. That's that's the system seller for me. I'm gonna need one by Forza. Even though I can play it on my PC, I want that power.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, and that's like the thing, I don't mind 20 seconds, even 30 seconds of load time. Now, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, oh my gosh, that thing took forever to load up at the beginning. I mean, I could turn it on, go upstairs, grab a cup of water, go to the bathroom, come back, and it would finally be loaded up by the time I got down to the back.
Playing on PC would have not had that.
Well, probably, but I've
Because
got
I
a
did.
solid
I
state
played.
drive on
See
my
that?
PC.
Yeah, I know.
So.
See, that's the difference. See, if you put that on your new Xbox, it'll load way faster.
Oh yeah, I'm
it'll
sure
be
it
similar to
will.
what I
Yeah,
had.
yeah.
Because
And
when I
it's
got
on
that
there,
game,
I just never
it
booted
was
it up yet.
yeah, it was on my PC with an SSD, and then I got it again on like the Xbox or something later. That's on the mechanical drive. I was like, yep, the load times are a lot longer.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's long.
The HDR looks pretty on the TV. It
Yeah.
just takes a while to get there.
Yeah, it does. But but I don't mind, a game like that taken down to a minute or 45 seconds or however long. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah. The thing I keep thinking back is like the Skyrim or even like Oblivion before it was even worse of like all the loads that you had to go into the city, then go into a house, and like this load door, almost like a bunch of different doors and things. Games are way better about loading these days. They've gotten better and better with time.
Skyrim, especially like because my girlfriend has a Series S, and the first game she started playing on it was Skyrim, and like the load screens were like almost non-existent, which surprised me because I immediately started getting flashbacks and like traumatized from like when I was playing it on 360 and waiting like 10 minutes at a time.
And these are not optimized. These are not well, now it is, but when it first came out, it wasn't optimized for Series X. So
but that doesn't matter for Skyrim. Skyrim's so old. You're just throwing brute force at it, and that'll help.
Yeah, you wanna play a game and the load times, play Oblivion backwards compatible on the original Xbox on the Series X. Holy crap. I mean, it's just like there are no load times anymore. Well, it's like we said like we talked about when they had the interview with Microsoft and Bethesda, the original Xbox would run that game, but during the load from one level to another, the Xbox would actually reset itself, turn itself off, and turn it back on.
To dump was Morrowind.
Morrowind.
And
it would to dump the memory and
because Oblivion was on 360.
I meant Morrowind. I meant Morrowind instead of Oblivion, but I meant Morrowind.
I was trying to remember. I was like, did they do the original Xbox version of Oblivion? That'd be weird.
I meant Morrowind. Yeah, I mean, you go back and play it on Series X now. It's just like, holy crap! There's no load times now. It looks like poo, but I mean, still, it's worth it to load it in just to go.
If you want to play Morrowind, play it on PC and then put a bunch of graphics mods on it.
Yeah, put a bunch of graphics mods on it.
Speaking of graphics mods, I don't know, this has been going around like the last couple of days, but I don't know if you guys have seen, there's someone who put 500 mods on Skyrim, and it's like in 8K, and it is one of the most photorealistic, gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life. Sure. It's wild.
Yeah, sure.
Wild. And it's crazy.
And most people trying to run it, and then it'll be like a slideshow.
Yeah, but the game was stunning, and it's crazy how like a game from that era. Granted,
the problem with those is usually you get the super realistic textures on top of geometry that wasn't made for it, so it still looks weird.
Yeah. They did something with this one though that it was stunning. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Nintendo had their Indie World Showcase on the 11th. Did everybody watch it? I watched it. I did. It
was a nice way to wake up on my birthday, so that was nice.
Yeah, I watched the VOD. Some of the things that kind of surprised me: Axiom Verge 2, and it launched that day on everything. That one kind of came from out of nowhere. The Metal Slug Tactics, they showed a little bit more of it. That game looks really, really cool. I'm actually kind of excited for that one. There was one.
There's lots of good things in here.
Yeah, Eastward that game still looks cool to me, even though they didn't show a whole lot of it.
Eastward looks awesome. Yeah, like the pixel art in that is fantastic.
Yeah, I have a friend who's excited about that one. I didn't know anything about it before this, but it does look pretty.
Yeah, it looks really.
The one everybody should be excited for is Loop Hero is coming to Switch. That would be a great Switch game.
Yeah,
that would be perfect in handheld mode.
Yeah, that thing looked really, really cool too.
I was also surprised to see that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk that's going to be a console timed exclusive anyways on Switch. Otherwise, because I've been having it on my Steam wishlist now for like ever. But that game I'm excited for because it's basically the OG Jet Set Radio team coming back and making a new Jet Set game. Because Sega won't do these things for some reason.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm I'm excited about that one. I hope it doesn't turn into that Crazy Taxi one that the original Crazy Taxi people did, that Taxi Chaos game.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
game, I ended up buying that game when it was on sale, and that game was shite. And
I mean,
was,
that
Yeah, there you go.
happens.
Heard it.
That happens more
Garbage.
often than not. Of like, hey, we're coming back and we're gonna do it, and then they just can't recapture the magic.
No,
It's
they couldn't
very
with that
few
one.
times that they can.
This one
Yep.
looks like they might, but that one just
Yeah, it does look cool.
Just I'll definitely buy that one too.
Well, the art style is almost identical too.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well have just slapped it on there. I mean, it was, I mean, it was essentially it. It was like, it was like if Sega didn't give their blessing on it, they could have just come out and go, yeah, we need.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we'll see you in court.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was like, yeah. And the other one was Garden Story, which came out that day too. I thought that one looked really, really cool. We actually got a review code for it that evening. So,
yes, we did.
Did you're doing that one, right, Dennis?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah,
I haven't played too much of it, maybe only about 10, 15 minutes of it, but just because I didn't have time to dabble in it right away.
Yeah.
The art looks super cute. I like the art style.
Yeah, that's what Nikki said too. That's the first thing she said. She says that thing just looks adorable.
Yeah, it's super cute. It reminded me a lot of the game that came out earlier in the year, the Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Which, that game is so good. That game is so good. And Garden Story kind of reminds me of that, except it plays a lot more like Zelda.
That's a grape. That's all.
Yeah,
It looks like Zelda with fruit
instead of a turnip. But from the little bit that I've played so far, the very brief amount, it's awesome, and the pixel art is fantastic. Absolutely.
Oh, keep that in mind.
It's like a charm too.
Yeah, it was a really good show for 20 minutes.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, they had some really cool indie stuff. So
I think what I tweeted shortly after that, I've noticed something with a lot of these state of plays and directs as of late is like I think unintentionally are also great advertisements for Xbox Game Pass.
you're not wrong.
because I swear a lot of these just end up coming there, and it's just like, well, all right then. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they made it seem like Switch was the place to get it, but I mean, if it's on Game Pass, I'll see you there.
Good old Game Pass.
Yep. And last but not least, Switch takes the entire top 30 software charts. The first console to do that since 1988, and I'll be dipped.
Right.
In Japan.
Yeah, in Japan.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at that top 30 list, and it's like Minecraft, Skyward Sword, Mario Kart, Ring Fit. It's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I saw this and it blew my mind. I had to post it because I wanted to talk about it. Basically, I mean, yeah, you're looking at Minecraft, Skyward Sword, Mario Kart 8, Ring Fit Adventure, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Smash Brothers Ultimate, Game Builder Garage, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Super Mario Party, Miitopia, Animal Crossing New Horizon, Mario Golf Super Rush Clubhouse Games, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Monster Hunter Rise, Mario and Sonic at Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Splatoon 2, which is crazy, that's still selling copies, Breath of the Wild, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Neo the World Ends With You, Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2, New Pokemon Snap, Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun, which is a great game. If you guys haven't played it, go play it. It's amazing. Ace Angler, Human Fall Flat, Dragon Quest S, and Super Mario Maker 2.
I hope everybody paid attention. There will be a quiz after the show.
Yeah, really.
I was thinking about how some of these games on this list, I was like, really? And I was like, it's Japan. So.
Well, I wonder
sense.
if...
Well, no, I mean, a lot of these make sense to me. I mean, these are still heavy hitters. I mean, a lot of them, like...
I mean, my thing is I wonder if a lot of this has to do with the PS5 shortages. And the PS5 isn't selling as well in Japan as most PlayStation consoles do. So,
yeah,
I wonder if that's kind of a mix of all that. I don't know, but it's crazy that I'm trying to think of the last. I need to look up and see who does it even say in the article what the last console was that did this?
It was the Famicom in '88.
Oh,
I think.
okay. I was going to say so. It was the NES. That's what I figured.
I bet if this list was for the U.S., Minecraft Dungeons would probably be in the top 10 because everybody I know has that game.
It wouldn't be.
No, it'd be Call of Duty.
No.
Let's see. U.S.
I don't know if Miitopia would be on there for a U.S. list. That's an interesting kind of odd, unique game.
Right now, the top 4 in the U.S. is Skyward Sword, At number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops number 2, Monster
called
Hunter
it.
Stories number 3, and Mario Kart number 4.
Is that for all platforms, or are you just looking
I'm
at
looking
just
at
Switch?
I'm looking at all
Mario
platforms.
Kart. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Skyward Sword, and then Call of Duty.
Wait, what was the other one? Monster Hunter Stories?
Yep, that's number
Yeah.
3.
Okay. I'm glad that game is doing well because that game is incredible.
Minecraft's number 5, Mario Golf's number 6, MLB The Show's number 7, Miles Morales is 8, Modern Warfare is 9, and Smash Brothers is 10. That's
Interesting.
that's the whole list. That's everything. Let's see. Top 10, US top 10, Switch. Oop, if I could spell.
It does tend to help.
Well, it's not spelling, it's typing. That's the problem. And then you go the top 10. Let's see here. Let me load it all up. The top 10 Switch
Top 10.
games. They don't have them in the NR. It's just the best sellers on Amazon. So I don't count that as overall. That's just the top 10 best-selling games on Amazon.
I mean, I think this is just a bunch of things of like the Switch is super popular everywhere. It's also going to be very popular in Japan because of being able to take it with you in places, and it's just very small and easy to fit wherever you need it. And then there's not really any huge console games for the other platforms out at this time that would have, automatically jumped onto, a list maybe. And it's just like, hey, here you go. We want to play stuff on our Switch. Let's buy all the things on the Switch.
Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, number 4 is Mario Kart Deluxe. That thing sold 13,000 copies.
Which now brings it up to almost 4 million.
Now, is that worldwide or is that just in Japan?
No, that's just Japan because worldwide it's actually looking at about 30.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's way higher than that worldwide.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was pretty sure it was. But man, I mean, you think of any
I swear, it's one of those games that's just like, okay, there's got to be people out there who are buying like 6 copies of it for some reason. Because, like, come on, surely everybody who has a Switch has bought that game by now.
So this was 9 days ago. It says Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 37 million copies on Switch. So yeah, that's lifetime.
That's crazy. And and companies sometimes are ecstatic when they sell 1 million.
And think about it. They already sold so many copies on Wii U, but Switch has, I think, doubled if not tripled the numbers of the Wii U.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the thing is, the Switch has got way more of them out there, and then they have all the DLC and stuff in this one, and it's all like kind of like the ultimate Mario Kart, just like Smash Brothers is the ultimate Smash Brothers. So they've had that kind of a vibe going on the Switch of like, get this one, it's got everything in it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here we go. So sales for Mario Kart 8 on Wii U are 8.5 million. So. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that was
I think we can put that down to everyone who had a Wii U got that, and that was the max. That was the ceiling.
Yeah, that was it.
There are way more Switches, so they have a higher ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, like even when I bought my Wii U, it was the Mario Kart 8 bundle. That was the one that I had. So.
Yeah, that was when I bought my Wii U. I went out and bought a copy of Mario Kart. That was the first thing I did. It's like, yep.
And when I completely did not buy a Wii U because I didn't want one, I did not buy Mario Kart. But when I got a Switch, I got Mario Kart.
Yeah. I tell you what, I still love my Wii U. That thing is a really great console that just didn't get.
It got a lot of flack.
The Wii U is a great console that was perfected in the Switch.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean,
because it's similar ideas that they're like, okay, well, here's some of the stuff that people didn't like about the Wii U. Let's change it this time around.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But
oh no, I agree. The Wii U has great first-party games.
Yeah,
a handful of very good third-party games. But any game where there's a port like Deus Ex, Batman, Tekken, go play it on.
Yeah, those were all trash.
Deus Ex wasn't that bad. I actually liked the Wii U version because it had the map on the screen.
On the game. On the screen.
Yeah, and that was really nice to have that map right there where I could just glance down and.
Somebody. I think somebody.
What?
Just the ringing endorsement of it wasn't that bad.
No, it really wasn't. I mean,
which is fun. Just the way you said it tickled me. I don't know why. It made me laugh.
It's not a terrible port. I remember playing Zombie U and holding up like the gamepad, so you could look through your backpack.
No, that's dumb. Yeah.
I played it on PS4 and was like, it's just as terrible.
Yeah.
Then again, it's not that great of a game, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah. But no, I didn't think it. I thought I liked the Deus Ex version on the Wii U a lot because
man, they need to bring that franchise back.
They really
those games are so good.
The only thing that really irritates me about the Wii U is those discs. People are like, they're Blu-ray. No, they're not. They're a high-def disc, and they're very prone.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many I had to get resurfaced, and not from the place I use locally. I've sent them to my brother over by Seattle.
Yeah.
And had them take them to a store that was really reliable. And the Wii U, there's some cool things. I kind of wish they'd done more of that TV concept. Remember they had the button on the front of the Wii U gamepad?
Yeah.
That was for like doing stuff with your TV.
Yeah, and
one of my friends actually utilized that a lot. He probably used the Wii U gamepad more as a remote than a controller playing the actual.
There we go.
I did like watching. I would watch my Amazon shows through the Wii U because you could use the X-ray thing and pull it up on the gamepad to see. Oh, well, that actor is so and so, and he was in this.
Oh, like kind of like an X-ray.
The X-ray thing. Then I started doing it with my phone. But you could do that. I mean, it had some really cool things. But it just never caught on because it was weird. People thought it wasn't actually a system. It was an adapter for the Wii. I mean, that's what I got every time somebody come to the store.
The name is the worst part of the Wii U because it should have been named something different.
Yeah,
so that people weren't confused
Wii
about it.
Instead of Wii U, I mean, just put a numerical.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
identification there.
Yeah, it was weird. It didn't
because no one ever really got confused about PS2, PS3, PS4.
No. So it was hilarious. I would have people come in the store and go, "Hey, what's that behind you? Oh, that's the Wii U. Oh, that's an adapter for the Wii. Nope, it's a whole console.
Nope.
What?
Yep.
I didn't know that. It was like, okay, your nerd card is revoked. And get out of my store.
I want Nintendo to go back a few consoles so that their next one is the Game Pyramid instead of the GameCube, because I just want a pyramid console for no good reason.
Yeah.
It'd be so stupid, but I want it.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to make a quick note really quick because I feel like this is worth mentioning. This shows like just the power of the Switch over the Wii U. The Switch version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe actually runs at 60 frames a second as opposed to the 59 frames on Wii U.
Not 59. Oh,
yeah, I bet the Switch one could go faster than 60. They just cap it there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! If that was
one frame,
if that was
so much more.
Well, if that was PlayStation 5 versus Series X, there would be revolting in the streets by the PlayStation people going, "Look how great the PlayStation is, and how much Xbox sucks because it's frame lower."
Oh, let's be honest. Either way, it doesn't matter. It would be one doing that.
It would. It would be one or the other. It would just be fire and pitchforks in the streets, torches and pitchforks. Oh my gosh! It's just like
no one can enjoy video games.
I actually have a couple friends bought Wii U's this year for the first time. They never had them, and I told them the best thing I can recommend for you: get that Pro controller. Hands down, your hands will thank you.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite controllers. I mean, still, it's a good controller.
Nice controller.
It's amazing, yeah. Well, I love that clip that you had also, John, like where you put like just the tablet on top
for my Switch? Yeah, that
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
I love that fixture thing.
My buddy has one in Texas that goes around his neck that's designed for the Switch. So just
I've seen those.
His neck.
Yeah, it's actually made for like iPads and those tablets, but you can use it for the Switch. People lay in bed with it, and you lay back, and it sits right in front of your face. And you just have your controller right there.
But I hope it doesn't come loose and just smash your nose.
I've seen people doing that. I'm like, dude. I mean, I lay in bed.
How'd you get a black eye? My head.
I mean, there's sometimes that I lay in bed holding my phone up like this, and I'll smack myself in the face with it. So I can only imagine.
I can also just imagine like you just getting so comfortable with it, and then maybe like you turn around to your nightstand to like grab a drink, and then you knock over the lamp, and
chaos.
Yeah, but no, that fixture gaming clip thing is awesome. I liked it so much. I've put my Switch Lite up for sale.
So crazy.
It's like, yep, I don't need the Switch Lite anymore because this makes it more compact and easy to carry. I love it. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got. Has anybody got anything else before we call it a show? All right.
Really.
Well, let's see what this is August, right? Yep. Yeah, we should be back in 2 weeks. I don't think anything's going on. Last week was my mom's birthday, and everybody came in, so that's why we didn't have a show last week because we had everybody here. So, but yeah, we should be back in 2 weeks. Like I tell everybody at the end of the show, follow us at GL_podcast on Twitter. I like to tweet out a couple hours ahead of time to let everybody know when we will be recording if you guys want to come hang out in the chat with us or watch us live. And if you don't, you get it on your podcatcher usually the next day, unless I've got to go out, and then you'll get it as soon as I get done. So, no big deal. So, all right. Well, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us and listening to us, and we will catch you guys next show.
Take care.
Later.